What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us for LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. I'm Will Gaillard. This is my man right chair,
Mike White.
There you go. Thank you for everybody that's joining us tonight. This is Thursday, already Thursday, man, June 7th, 2018. As always, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that right now. It's so easy to do that. It's just, it's right on the bottom right hand side of the screen. Just go ahead and click it.
And make sure you're getting them notifications for our live shows.
That's
too,
right.
man.
That's right. Click that bell so you get all the new content as soon as it drops. We have a lot of things that we need to get to today. A lot of stories that we have to get to. Some primary results that we want to tackle. Some police brutality we want to talk about. NFL issues. What else we got on the thing? What else we got? Some Trump L's, or maybe one Trump L.
We got looks like Giuliani is trying to sabotage the June summit that's coming up next week.
He wouldn't do that.
He's trying
though.
his hardest to sabotage it.
He wouldn't do that though. Giuliani, man.
We're not saying it's conscious sabotage, but
but he's just being him.
Just being him.
The infamous man. I saw at the beginning of the chat section, somebody said we were going to be doing the show in Spanish, huh? It'd be a very limited show because I do not know much Espanol. What's that? I don't even know. That's a
little bit.
Yeah, but I'm in Spanish. That's a
pequeño. I have no idea. Is that pequeño? Somebody let us know because we don't.
I was gonna say poquito.
Pequeño. I don't know. See, that's how much we know.
Yeah, that's how much we know.
I know some colors.
This is my hermano. That's all I know.
I know some colors.
Yeah.
Some numbers.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know the numbers.
But back in the day, I had the sentence structure down pat, but still couldn't get the voice inflection. I think that's probably one of the most important parts too. Is the voice inflection.
Yeah,
but,
that's true. See, I can't roll my R's.
Basically, I could. Oh, you can't. See,
I can't roll my R's, man.
I could write it better than I could speak it because I got the sentence structure down. I just kind of use the same template, but it was, it was still that, the person that could obviously tell that it was more like that American Spanish. Yeah, but I don't think I ever got the voice inflection.
I was right, poquito.
Okay.
I might not be saying it.
I know, right?
As good
you got
as
that,
well.
That American, that American inflection, that American English inflection.
Yeah,
on
man.
it.
All right, so let's get started with a few, short stories or short issues. Maybe short, I don't know.
Yeah, just notable things.
Right. The Miss America pageant is undergoing a makeover. You get it? Makeover.
That was a nice little pun.
I kept seeing
that pun there.
On every story was Miss America pageant going
because everybody tries to do the headline that's very punny. Yeah, so makeover.
That wasn't mine. I don't own it. All right, I'm just reciting.
So now you trying to
it's not mine, man.
Oh, so
it's not mine.
Now you trying to backstep from a not so well delivered pun. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, because it's corny, man.
Okay, can't claim the corniness.
Nah. Man. But anyway, the new chairwoman, Gretchen Carlson, who used to be with Fox News, she announced that the swimsuit part of the competition is gone, no more. So that is very historic. That's a historic change because the Miss America pageant has been around for almost a century, and I believe it began as a swimsuit
more of a
competition.
Swimsuit. That was kind of
bikini competition.
That was the focal point of it.
Yes,
which would kind of make sense based on when it was, when the pageant started.
Right.
But I don't think I've ever watched a Miss America pageant all the way through. I never even
all the
cared.
way through? No.
And I've never ever cared about the swimsuit. I just, number one, maybe I had a bias considering that I wasn't really down with that particular body type anyway. Maybe I may have watched a Miss America pageant if the contestants were a little thicker. Nothing against skinny chicks, more just in general, normal looking. So maybe I might have paid attention if they all weren't have the same type of body. I just never was interested in it.
Well, as a boy, they were women on the stage,
but
and bikinis.
And you know how
I was interested
when you're a little boy. Like,
I was interested.
Draws turn you on.
Exactly.
Like just the draws.
Exactly.
It's got the draws.
Yeah. But then maturing, that it didn't really interest me anymore. But like I said, that is a very notable change. Carlson, she said on Good Morning America, quote, "We are no longer a pageant. We are a competition. We will no longer judge our candidates on their outward physical appearance." So she also noted that the evening gown portion of the show would be somewhat changed as well, though she didn't offer any details on that. So,
see, I would think they would have to get rid of that also.
See,
because my thing is,
if it's about a beauty competition, then you would have to do something.
You have to do something with that.
You have to adjust it. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like I said, she didn't announce any details. For me, this is a good change because Miss America in total, it's all about. Even themselves, they say that they are the nation's leading advocate for women's education and the largest provider of scholarship assistance to young women in the United States as well. And so they're all about community, and they're all about, I guess, doing what's, kind of trying to impact the world in a positive way.
So basically you're saying that really has nothing to do with a bathing suit or a nightgown.
No.
Nightgown, I mean, not nightgown, but
evening gown, a bathing suit competition. Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. So if that's what you're about, then it always stood in contrast to your mission. So getting rid of it makes more sense now that what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, my thing is, like, along with that, like, what type of women are now going to be invited or eligible and qualify for the Miss America competition, not pageant,
right?
Because if you're just getting rid of, let's say, the swimsuits and the evening wear, but still have the same type of woman with the same type of body, I would still think that it's not going far enough, and it's kind of like a superficially, you know what I'm saying?
Well, from what I've heard from even the reigning Miss America, I believe it's Cara Munn, I think. But even she has said, and I believe Gretchen Carlson said as well, that, for those women that didn't feel comfortable, parading themselves around the stage in a bikini and stuff like that, this is the competition now for all women. So it does seem like it's going to be a more inclusive thing, that it's not just going to be about, who's the fittest and who's the skinniest and stuff like that. I hope that's the case.
But see, again, and maybe there was a part of me that always saw something, in the pageant that was very fake. That's probably another reason why I was turned off. It wasn't just
because it had that element to it.
It had that element to it. It just seemed very fake. You know what I'm saying? And I think that I guess pageant officials actually encourage that. Essentially, they basically they influence how the pageant contestants present themselves to the world too. So,
and you've heard some of the responses to the question. There was an infamous one, and this wasn't Miss America. I think it was Miss Teen USA.
Miss Teen USA, maybe. She was from our state.
Yes, from South Carolina, and it was a really bad response.
It was bad. It was so bad.
So it wasn't something that a lot of people took seriously. But again, like I said, if this is a real change and they really want to be a competition and really be about what they say they're about, then I'm all for it. But the whole aspect of like a beauty competition or a pageant, I'm fine with, because there's so many out there. Think about like fitness competitions, like especially for women. If you're thinking that it's not about like a woman that's sexy, then you're kidding yourself. It is about the body and it's about the muscles and the cuts and all that too, but it's definitely about beauty. So
I don't have in a different sense.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem if you bill yourself as a pageant or a beauty competition. That's fine. But if you're saying that you're something else, and then you have that aspect to you, then it's kind of like trivializing.
It kind of taints it a bit and actually limits who can be a contestant.
Yeah. So
by default, it doesn't have to officially or explicitly do that, but by default, it does do that.
Yeah. I saw a picture earlier today as well that was just downright depressing. And this is the state of, the U.S. in 2018. There was a picture that was posted to Twitter by a mother at a school. It was a Somerville Public School in Massachusetts. And this is the picture. For those on Facebook, you can't see it, but
that's why you should be watching YouTube.
Exactly. But it's the lyrics for a lockdown situation for the kids. and it's sung to the rhythm of what is it? You know the kid's song now.
For
some reason it's escaping me now. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Yeah, for some reason it just escaped my mind. But yeah, so the lyrics are, it's like lock down, lock the door, shut the lights off, say no more, go behind the desk and hide, wait until it's safe inside. Lock down, it's all done, now it's time to have some fun.
Wait.
See, because you gotta end it with something that's for children.
That's gonna like make them not be completely terrified.
Exactly.
But that junk actually is depressing now.
Yeah, I know it is.
To my adult eyes and ears, when I see those lyrics, and it's like they got the lyrics like in like they got them color coded for like each line for each bar.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's to make it easier.
Yeah,
for them to, I guess, to
engage with it and to remember
it. Yeah,
and then at the end, have some fun. Like, whoa, like that part like got me. Like, have some fun. Like, we just told you might get shot. Now cheer up.
But see, you know, of course, they're not actually telling them that they might get shot. It's just like they're telling them, hey, this is a drill that we have to go through. So, you know, it's time to shut the lights off, be quiet, stay in the dark, and then after it's done, we can have some fun.
Kids gonna be asking questions though,
because they always ask questions.
Kids ask questions.
And what are your responses gonna be?
And that's the thing. What are your responses gonna be?
But like you said, it's depressing. It's just sad the state of the nation right now, because I mean, we have a populace that just refuses to do anything. We have a government that refuses to do anything about it. They come up with solutions that are not solutions whatsoever.
Oh, like putting the 10 Commandments back in school.
In God we trust. Or stuff like that.
You know, kind of trying to outlaw porn.
So now, since nobody's doing anything, these schools have to really get their students as young as kindergartners to be aware of I don't know if be aware of the situation, but be aware of, like, now's the time to like really be quiet and hide.
And I don't even think it's just for them, like now, like in their life. I think it's just trying to like warm them up for later. Because you know what I'm saying. It's less likely that
safety.
Yeah, and it's less likely that a school shooting is going to happen in elementary school. It does happen, like with Sandy Hook,
right?
But it's not as likely that it will happen there, because most of the time this is a student doing it, and elementary school students, they're too small to either even handle a gun or have access to guns. So I think it's more or less trying to like warm them up and trying to get them ready for maybe kind of future scenarios, like as they get older, when they get into middle school or high school.
All right, so moving on. Tuesday was primaries there were 7 states, most notably California. You know, I guess the state with the largest amount of districts for the U.S. House. So there were results. There weren't many results to be excited about, I don't believe. Actually, I think it was actually very disappointing. There were, I guess, if you know, on the Democrat side of it, especially if you're just talking about California, I think they would take it as a win, because when California, it's done differently than other states. It's a well, not a winner take all. It's like I think they call it a jungle system, to where it's only it's like everybody runs, Democrat, Republican, Green Party, whatever.
So it's not like primaries where it's like there's a Republican primary.
No, it's just one primary.
What is it called?
I think it's a jungle system, I believe, or jungle primary. But then it's the top two. The top 2 vote getters go on to the November general election.
Do you think that's better? Or, you know what I'm saying, do you think that's more beneficial? Or, do you know, the way they do it?
It could be. Why?
Because, like, it provides opportunity for the almost the best 2 candidates are going to be at the top.
Yeah, because it really, I guess it gears itself to the community that you're in. You know, I mean, because you know how there are certain communities, certain districts where it's just solid blue or solid red. Yeah. And it's like, and you know, in some of these districts, like they have a hard time finding a candidate for that party that has absolutely no chance. So like, why do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not let it just be the top 2, and then like I said, then they can go at it in the general. So, I mean, I don't think I have a problem. I'd have to hear an argument.
It's just more of a
it.
chance for, I guess, a party to possibly get closed out of the general election.
Yes, that's true. But yeah, the Democrats were scared that might be possible because there were a lot of Democrats running in certain districts, and they were scared that they would just
spread out the votes to a point where they would kind of keep each other out.
Right. But that didn't happen. So I believe, they're in every single district. They're in every single race going into the general. So for the Democratic Party, I'm sure, that was a win for them.
Yeah. Like the most notable one was
Feinstein. Yeah. So yeah, she got through, of course. She the gap was pretty wide against DeLeon. But he did, he was the second vote getter, so he's going to go. I was about to say,
she has a contender from her left, but looking at the gap between, I know, right? I said
it's some months.
Left.
Yeah.
I didn't say like our kind of left.
Yeah,
I'm just saying like to her left, but it's not really that difficult to like do that when you talk about somebody like Feinstein. So. But I mean.
But there's some months to go, and maybe he can pull.
Can he make up that gap if you look at voter turnout and how many people? I mean, because he was a far second.
Yeah. It was far second. Like I said, I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't bet on him. He has some ground to make up. So like I said, he has some months though. He has some months to turn this thing around. So we'll just see what it happens. But anyway, I believe only 7 out of 31 candidates that were endorsed by Our Revolution actually won their primaries. So that, I mean,
it was.
I mean, I know Our Revolution is, it's new, and they have gotten some wins. 7 out of 31. I don't care what you say. I mean, it's disappointing. That's definitely disappointing. Probably the most notable one that lost was Peter D'Alessandro, he was heavily backed by Senator Bernie Sanders. And Senator Bernie Sanders got out there on the campaign trail with him. He was campaigning heavily for him and with him. He helped raise money for him as well, but it did not work at all. D'Alessandro actually came in third in the race, a distant third. Nowhere near winning. Actually, I think that even the second place doubled him up, or at least close to it. So, like I said, that's disappointing. He was running in Iowa's 3rd congressional district. So he ended up losing to Cindy Axne.
But I think like the other factor in that is the state he's in too.
Yes, Iowa. But and that. Because, that was one state that Bernie actually did well in the 2016 presidential, the primaries. So I guess the thought was that maybe that would transfer over to somebody that he was backing.
Oh, like a Bernie effect?
Yeah. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. But of course, he was outraised. He was significantly outraised by the two people that came in ahead of him, and they're two, I think, small business owners. So, they outraised them and they won. So, or at least one of them won exactly. But anyway, other disappointing news: the Real Justice PAC, that is an organization that's spearheaded by Shaun King in California. The Real Justice PAC backed 5 candidates. They endorsed 5 candidates. And as it stands right now, it looks like 4 out of the 5 are going to lose. So that includes Pamela Price, who she was running to become the district attorney for Alameda County, but she was defeated by the incumbent Nancy O'Malley. Genevieve Jones-Wright was seeking to become the district attorney for San Diego County, but she was defeated by Summer Stephan. Noah Phillips ran against the absolutely awful and completely bought by law enforcement, Anne-Marie Schubert. Remember, we did a story about her. Mm-hmm. There was an article on The Intercept that detailed just how deep the corruption ran with her, and how she's completely bought by law enforcement, but it looks like she's gonna maintain her position. And then similarly, Milo Fitch, who is the incumbent Sacramento County Sheriff, Scott Jones, seems like he's gonna win as well. He beat Milo Fitch, who was endorsed by the Real Justice PAC. So very disappointing news. The one candidate that looks like she's going to take the victory or may take the victory is really up in the air right now is Diana Becton. So she was running in Contra Costa County to become the district attorney. Right now, she's the acting district attorney. And the last numbers I saw, because there's still a lot of votes that are expected to be counted. Some mail-in votes that haven't been counted yet, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. We don't know. But right now, I believe she's at like 49.5% of the vote. So what that means is if she doesn't eclipse 50%, then it's going to go to a runoff. So it will still be a chance that she loses. She ends up losing. So if these other votes come in and she can't eclipse 50%, then she will end up winning, and that would be good news. But it's just disappointing because especially with those candidates that were endorsed by the Real Justice PAC, these were candidates that were running for very important positions, justice positions, being the sheriff, being the DA, and we see we see the effect that having somebody that actually is representing people and actually wants to seek justice in Larry Krasner in Philly. We see the impact he's making, so we need that kind of impact all over the country. And so these were some of those people that were running to do that,
and so they weren't successful in
and
what is considered a very liberal state.
Yes, so I mean, it is disappointing. Like I said, even the Real Justice PAC, just like Our Revolution, these are new organizations. And of course, all these candidates were severely outspent by, their competition.
Yeah, 91% of the time, the candidate that spends the most money wins.
Yeah.
So
or
90 to 91%.
And that's the reality of the situation, and that's just the depressing news of it too, because it just seems that all too commonly, like you said, 91% of the time, money wins. Big money wins, So, these organizations are gonna, they're gonna keep marching on, keep getting more support, and hopefully, in the coming elections, and the years to follow, hopefully they'll get some more support. Hopefully they'll get some more exposure for their candidates, and we'll have different results.
So you think it was a win for Democrats, but a loss for progressives?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. There was one Democrat, Lauren Arthur. She won a special election for state senate in Missouri. And so that I believe that marked the 42nd legislative seat that had been overturned, from red to blue in the time that Donald Trump has been president. So, again, good news for the Democrats. Again, like you were saying, progressives, though, it didn't seem like it was a good day.
A handful of victories, but
yeah,
nothing that could really say that there's going to be a significant shift.
No. But in noting that, I did want to note one person. This wasn't in California. This wasn't even on Tuesday. But this woman's name is Mariah Parker, and she actually ran in Georgia. She ran for the Athens-Clarke County commissioner role, and she actually won. She won her seat by 13 votes. She ran as a progressive, wants to focus on affordable housing and gentrification. She also wants, and this is radical, she wants 30% of city contracts going to Black and Latino owned businesses.
Boy, that's scary. Oh, that is scary. I mean, it's not scary for me,
not scary,
but it's scary for
either.
Some people, because I think the last time I checked, it was like 95% of government contracts go to white-owned businesses. So
if she wants to take like almost a third of that,
honestly, I don't.
County?
Honestly, I don't have an issue with that, because that connects to whether those communities can form their own economy. You know what I'm saying? Because those are the most vulnerable communities. Those are the communities that are on the bottom of the economic tier.
Mm-hmm.
So why not try to invigorate the economies in those communities in the same way that the economies in those white communities have been invigorated. You know what I'm saying? Why not?
So one might say this would be
reparations.
Yeah, a form of reparation.
A form of reparation.
A form of reparation.
A form of reparation. Got somebody in the comment section, Michael, dropping your boy Kenneth Mejia's name.
Oh yeah, Mejia.
Mejia. What's his name? Mejia. I don't even know how you pronounce it. Mejia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody, Michael just dropped his name. I guess he's because I don't think we mentioned him. He's like Green Party.
Right. I believe so.
He's Green Party.
Yeah.
So I forgot what district, like 30 something. But
okay.
He's gonna. The Green Party has a representative for November.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Michael.
But this is Mariah Parker, and you know, some of these pictures of her being sworn in. I think she was sworn in just this past Tuesday, and you know, this has been, you know, making the rounds on social media. It's a strong picture right there, and she actually was sworn in on the autobiography of Malcolm X. Yo, that is strong. That is strong. Not the Bible, not the Quran.
And then she has an afro too.
No, boy. Not just an afro.
She has a afro.
Boy, that is a strong. Well, that's a 70s afro.
No, yeah, that's one of those like Good Times, Fred Sanford.
Exactly, man. JJ Walker,
Ray Walker type. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
What was the sister's name? Not. What was the sister? What was that sister's name? What was JJ's and Michael's sister's name?
Why you put me on the spot?
I know, man. Not Pam.
Nah.
I had a crush on her, dog.
Yeah, I remember Janet Jackson was on that show. I remember Janet Jackson on that show.
Penny, she played Penny.
Penny,
but yeah, no, she has a throwback afro, man.
Yeah,
she has
it is.
Them Soul Train afros.
Yeah, like I mean, you can't have an afro like that and not throw it up like that. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's like an automatic reflex.
Exactly.
It's like the afro creates
walking down the street.
Like the afro creates like a lever, and automatically makes your fist do that like out of nowhere.
Yeah, man.
She has one of them what's the Boondocks Huey afros.
Exactly, man. Golly. All right. So some more news about primary day. So in California. So just to set the backstage to this, okay, so in 2015, Stanford student Brock Turner raped an unconscious woman on the Stanford campus. There were two other Stanford students that came across this crime, and Brock Turner was trying to get away. He ran away, but the two students were able to track him down and hold him down until, you know, some law enforcement officers showed up and, you know, arrested him. So, he was tried, he was convicted, he was facing 14 years, a maximum of 14 years in prison. The prosecutors had suggested or recommended 6 years in prison. The judge presiding over the case ultimately sentenced Turner to 6 months in prison, of which 3 he actually served because of good behavior. He got out in 3 months, right? So many people were just livid from this decision. Livid that somebody that raped a woman, an unconscious woman, only got 3 months in prison, right? So that judge was Santa Clara County Superior Judge Aaron Persky. And after that decision, there was a massive recall effort to get him off the bench. Mm-hmm. Well, that recall effort proved to be successful on Tuesday, as I believe 60% of voters approved of ousting him, and so he became the first California judge in 86 years to be recalled.
Wasn't it like over 1 million people, like 1.3? It was a lot.
Well, that signed the
that signed the petition. It was
right.
like 1.3, 1.5.
I believe it was 1.3. It was over 1 million people that signed that petition to actually get it on the ballot so people can vote on it.
That's a lot. That's a lot of
They
people.
wanted him out. They wanted him out, man.
Yeah, because, I mean, his job as a judge is to, you know, I would say be an advocate for victims.
Yeah.
Victims of crime, all crime, be an advocate.
You're part of the
them.
justice
You're
system.
part of the justice system. Yeah. But I guess the sentence he handed down, I guess, considered what damage was going to be done to Turner. and not what damage was done to the victim. And he explicitly stated this.
He did.
During sentencing, he said it was going to damage Turner. So I think right there, he outed himself. He didn't have to say that. He could have bent over backwards like he did to help Turner get a reduced sentence without saying that. But the fact that he made that explicit, kind of, he put himself on blast. You know
like why would you, in this kind of case, why would your concern be for the one that's guilty of raping a woman? Like, your concern shouldn't be with him, it should be with the victim, just like you said.
Yeah, it should be based on the damage Turner did to another person, not the damage the sentencing would do to him. Right.
The whole reason for sentencing him is to punish him for what he did.
And even his parents, Turner's parents, still were complaining about the lenient 6-month sentence. They still had a complaint. So his parents are nurturing this sociopath, not no CIA, MK Ultra. His parents are doing this.
Exactly. So anyway, there were 2 women that were aiming to replace Judge Persky. San Jose attorney Angela Story and Santa Clara County Assistant District Attorney Cindy Hendrickson. So the key difference between these 2 women were that Angela Story was not supportive of the recall effort, but Cindy Hendrickson was supportive of the recall effort. So guess who won? Cindy Hendrickson. And it was by a wide margin that she won. I believe when I last saw it, she was at 70% of the vote. So she's going to be the new, Santa Clara County Superior Judge.
Yeah, the one that was kind of in support of Persky said that, like, judges shouldn't be, I guess, subject to recalls. But I'm like, maybe somebody should check into that judge.
Well, she's not a judge yet.
Well, she's not.
She's an attorney.
An attorney. Well, I'm saying maybe they should check into her. You know what I'm saying? Check into her cases.
Yeah. But okay, because her voice wasn't alone, and the whole reason that she said that, like, she didn't offer her opinion on whether the sentence was correct or not. All she said was that it's kind of setting up a slippery slope here, because if judges are looking over their shoulders at the populace, at the citizens, and letting that kind of guide them on sentencing, then that shouldn't be the case, because they should be independent. And in cases, okay, so this is another argument as well. In cases where the defendant actually deserves mercy, the judge may be not inclined, they may not be inclined to actually show that defendant mercy because of public backlash, but because of public outrage.
Yes, I see where she is going, but who ultimately does the judge serve? Who is the judge actually accountable to?
The people. The
people. So I don't think that totally squashes that argument, but I don't feel sorry for a civil servant who has to, who feels that trying to appeal to the greater nature of society is looking over their shoulder. Like, to put it like that makes it sound like they're not supposed to be accountable to the public in the first place, when they are.
Just be able to do whatever they
want. And like we said, this wasn't just based on people being upset with the ruling, so I don't think public opinion in and of itself created this for Persky. I think the fact that he came out and said that this would affect Turner's life, it would damage him. That's why. That's what swayed. I think this is specific case. I think we have to, I guess, be careful in trying to argue about this as if this doesn't have to do with this specific case and this specific judge. And if another judge kind of articulates himself after he reduces a sentence, that judge should be up for a recall too.
See, I agree with you. And see, I don't buy the excuse of it setting up a slippery slope and that judges should be independent thinkers and not let public outrage affect them. The whole reason I believe that is because, again, Judge Persky is the first judge in 86 years in California to be recalled. So it's not like this is like a wave of judges being recalled. And then the second thing is that the specific case that I guess sparked public outrage was because of a rapist. If you're going to say that this is going to cause judges to say, well, I can't be lenient on this particular defendant. Well, we got to look at what the defendant did. If the defendant is a rapist, then no, I'm sorry, they don't deserve mercy. And the prosecutors didn't even suggest the maximum. So they were even, like I said, I guess, aware of maybe this crime not, being about, I guess, seeking the maximum sentence for this particular defendant. They said 6 years. So if the judge set it at 6 years, or even if he went to 5 years, 4 years, whatever the case, it would still been a substantial penalty for the crime. He didn't deserve mercy. Mm-hmm. He didn't deserve 6 months, even though it was within the law. The judge was within the law to do that, but he wasn't a defendant that deserved mercy.
And considering how kind of Brock Turner felt about his deeds, he didn't deserve mercy. And according to how his own father described the situation too. So there's all kinds of elements of this story, and not just public outrage. The recall wouldn't have occurred if the punishment would have been commensurate with the actual crime. And if
that's what I'm saying,
and if if the judge wasn't so concerned about Turner's future, and then and not concerned about Emily's future.
Right. I mean, there was no
name of Emily, right? I think
that's the name she goes by, Emily Doe.
Emily Doe. Yeah.
It's not a real name.
That's not a real name.
But there was no I guess confusion about whether consent was given or not. This isn't this is a hard case to decide. No, the woman was unconscious. Okay. He violated her against her will. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He just did not. I don't care if he had a squeaky clean record. I don't care if he never did anything before in his life. Never got a speeding ticket. Wet behind the ears. He's only 18, 19. I don't care. You're an adult. You know better than this. I don't care if you even had a few bottles of beer or some liquor.
Was this a frat party or something?
I think it was a frat party. Or just a party in general. It doesn't matter. You saw an unconscious woman and you raped her. I mean, sorry. This isn't the case. This isn't the case to argue against a judge or a judge that shouldn't have been recalled. No, this judge should have been recalled. I'm totally for it.
And again, they looked at his history and how he judged other cases too. And
because it wasn't just this one too.
There was also a suspicion that it wasn't just him going out of his way to advocate for a criminal, but a particular type of criminal,
right?
Of a certain type of background. Brock Turner was white, and his family is well off,
right.
He's wealthy.
Right.
And there was actually a similar case was somebody, a Latino dude, Latino who didn't have a record, and his situation was actually a little, I don't even want to say a little less brutal, but his situation involved a love letter he sent to a woman, and he somehow was able to sneak into this woman's house and get into her bedroom and start penetrating her with his finger. Basically the situation, he didn't end up raping her with his sexual organ, but he still penetrated her. So basically something similar to Brock Turner.
Right.
This dude, he actually wrote an apology letter, but Judge Persky did not bend over backwards to see if he got a reduced sentence. He got the full sentence. You see what I'm saying? So there's a little bit of a bias involved. So he hasn't even even-handed with it. So there's obviously, he's not even ruling according to what he thinks should happen based on the circumstances. There's something else driving why he's making his decision. And it's not objectivity.
Hey, again, this is allowable for these particular type of judges. It's allowable for you to recall them, because there are some judges, federal judges, you can't recall. That's not an elected position. But a position like Persky's, yes, they have to go through re-election. So they are allowed to be recalled, and I think the people did the right thing and spearheading this effort and then going ahead and getting that dude up out of office, man. Because like you just laid out, he didn't have an even-handed approach to justice, so he needed to be gone. Don't let the hit you. Don't let the door hit you with a good low split you.
Don't let that. Somebody hit his ass with that gavel.
I'm saying, right? Real. All right, so I think we're gonna bid sayonara to Facebook.
Our very underperforming side chick.
Oh boy. Anyway, yeah. But we're glad that you joined us on Facebook. If you would, we have the link to the YouTube channel in the description. So you just click that and you'll be taken to the rest of the show. We hope that you join us. If you don't get around to doing that, please do get around to visiting the channel so that you can subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell to make sure you get all the updated content. All right, so we will see you in just a minute. All right. Boy, oh boy, let's get to a whopper of a story, huh? There's a little bit of police brutality that we got to get to here.
Or, you know, you could more accurately call it call it gang violence, in my opinion.
Yeah, because they were acting like a gang. Street gang.
Street gang, man.
Yeah, a violent street gang, man. Thugs.
You
So
know, they call them like blue, right?
Yep.
Just like Crips, man. Might as well be.
Yeah, that's true.
Call them Blue Lives Matter. Crip Lives Matter. Stop.
Chris might have something to say about that.
Chris might have something to say about
you
that.
Trying to take blue? you
trying to take blue, cuz? Cuz.
You wearing blue in my neighborhood, man? Anyway, all right. So the Mesa Police Department in Arizona released video footage showing a very obvious case of police brutality recently. The incident took place a few weeks ago on May 23rd when officers responded to a 911 domestic call. A 911 domestic violence call at an apartment complex. A woman had reported that to police that her ex-boyfriend was trying to break into her apartment. So when the police arrived, they encountered the ex-boyfriend, whose name is Eric Reyes. So they instructed him to sit against the wall, in which he complied. So they also encountered a man named Robert Johnson, and they briefly searched him because there was some... After the fact, they said there was some talk about maybe there was a weapon or something like that in the area, whatever. And Robert Johnson was near Eric Reyes, even though the two weren't together at all. And Robert Johnson didn't have anything to do with this. But so they began searching his pockets while he was on his cell phone.
Did he look like he was even resisting when they did that? According to the footage,
I believe it looked like he was being very gracious and allowing them to search him.
Yeah, he didn't say, hey, what you doing? He just was like,
yeah, he allowed them to search him. And then after they, pat him down a little bit, they instructed him to stand near the wall, to which he did. He walked over to the wall and stood near the wall. Then they instructed him, you can see in the video, we're going to show it to you. They instructed him to get down, sit down. And so he's kind of like, you can see, he's kind of like, this is unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. So he kind of leans against the wall and kind of like scooches down a bit. So he's kind of in between squatting and sitting. Like squatting and standing. So.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, he's just like kind of leaning against the wall. So that's where we're gonna stop the explanation and we're gonna show the video. It's just under 2 minutes long. The condensed version, but you will be able to see the brutality.
See what happened? See what happened? Get in there. Get in there. Get his arms back. I got him. Got him? I got him. Hold on. Watch this arm right here. Get his right arm. Get his right arm. I got his left. Okay, I'm on you. Oh.
Yeah, how pretty are you, huh? How pretty are you?
Don't start that. Don't you dare try to... You're trying to spit on me. Hey, get a spit mask for this right now.
I got him. Spit mask for what?
We got him in the car.
I got him.
Do you have, do you have one on you?
Spit mask for
We
what?
have one in the car.
Yeah.
So
Hey, put him on the
Spit
ground.
mask for what? What do I need a spit mask for, huh?
You're going to try and spit on me? Hold on.
What the fuck do I need to spit on the ground?
Take him back down.
Huh?
Take him back down.
You want to be a...
Sit on the ground.
Well,
So-
it's obvious from what I saw, he was being aggressive.
Yeah, he was being very aggressive.
Very aggressive.
Looks like the police did everything right here. All their actions were justified.
I didn't see any escalation at all. No. Not at all.
Now, again, we have to remind you, Robert Johnson was not the suspect. The suspect you saw on the right-hand side of the screen,
Already sitting down.
that was Eric Reyes. Robert Johnson was just there, and I guess he was attempting to get on the elevator, but then the elevator came and there were some more police officers that showed up. So he sat on, again, he complied, got near the wall. Though I guess like if we're going, with the timeline, my first question would be, why the hell is he being treated like a suspect? Because first of all, let me try to understand for just a minute. You don't know what's going on in the area. You don't know if maybe the two are connected. They're feet away. They're feet apart. So maybe Robert Johnson has something to do with it, okay? You have many officers on the scene. There's already an officer, at least one officer, that's near Eric Reyes. So the easiest thing for you to do, you already searched him. The easiest thing would be to question Robert Johnson, find out whatever you need to find out, and let that guy go. Let him go.
And it doesn't require him sitting on the floor
like a suspect.
Like a suspect.
He's not being detained.
He's not being detained. Like you said, they had a suspicion that there might be a weapon. But if you actually look at the clothes he was wearing some very thin looking athletic shorts.
Mm-hmm. And they searched him.
And they searched him with t-shirts. So
yeah.
I don't understand what exactly they thought they were going to find, and I don't understand what exactly they thought they were going to get out of assaulting him. If they needed to investigate something, it kind of did seem like he was going to be willing to answer some questions, and it doesn't require him to sit on the floor to answer those questions. I think it's just a matter of what the police officers wanted, or whoever was commanding him at that time to sit on the floor. That's something that particular law enforcement officer wanted for himself, to appeal to himself.
It had to be, because there was no good reason for it. And you saw, so he wasn't complying with that order, request, what have you. But
doesn't matter.
He doesn't need to.
That's not preventing from asking questions.
I don't need to. Look, I'm not a suspect here. I live here. I'm just trying to be about my business. Ask me the questions you need to ask me. I stood near the wall. Just ask me the questions, let me go. But no, you won't have me sit down when I have nothing to do with this. No, I'm just going to stand here. There's no, I don't have to follow that direction. So as immediately as they could, I guess, as they determined that he wasn't going to comply, bam, it was like a switch. All of them converged on him. And then this violence started. He didn't do anything. Even if it was a legitimate order, he didn't do anything at all to be punched in his face over and over again and then taken to the ground. Did he do something threatening? There was nothing on that video that suggests that he was a threat to anybody.
Like people have had a lot of complaints about this, and one of the number one complaints I see, it's like a complaint and a question in one. And they asked, how many officers does it take to subdue one man? And I'm like, actually, I haven't even made it there yet. I haven't even made it to that question yet. I have a question that comes before that, and that why was he being subdued in the first place?
Because he wasn't a threat, right? Because if you're gonna subdue somebody, I would think that obviously you think they are a threat, and you need to put their hands behind their back, handcuff them to make sure they won't do anything to hurt you, themselves, or anybody else. I guess, I mean, that's really like the only reason, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason. And to me, like, when you punch or strike someone that's not a threat or not fighting, that's assault.
That is assault.
It's assault. It should be treated as assault, and it should be, I guess, prosecuted as assault too, whether they have a uniform or not.
No doubt. The dude that did the punch, well, the main dude that was doing the punching that you saw, he hit him at least what 3, 4, 5 times, right?
There was another dude on the side.
Yeah, there was another dude on the side.
Landed a couple too.
But the main guy was the bald head black guy that was punching him. Now the first, I guess, 3 strikes you saw, they were quickly in succession. But then there was a final blow as Robert Johnson was falling to the ground, or actually like sliding to the ground. Now, there's no way to justify any of these blows, but the 4th blow, as he is sliding to the ground and he is completely in the control of all these officers on the scene. Like I said, if the beginning 3 blows don't warrant prosecution, the 4th blow certainly does.
And I think one of those blows kind of knocked him out a little bit.
I think he lost consciousness.
He lost consciousness. And it was kind of, I don't want to say it's funny, but it's funny on like a despicable sense.
Yes.
That when his body goes limp and he loses consciousness, they're still acting like he's resisting. I'm like...
And there's like 5 officers there or so, all like on top of him.
On top of him.
Trying to get his arm.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't... Honestly, like... I don't care if there's other officers there that didn't land a punch, because there was one main officer. He did most of the punching, and there was one on the right. He landed a couple, and there was four other officers doing their part in holding him down. Now, if 4 of your friends, let's say, held somebody up while you punched them, and you all were arrested, right? Aren't you all going to be arrested for the same thing? Even if your 4 friends didn't land a punch?
Because like, you were assisting them.
You were assisting them. So, honestly, I think all 4 cops are responsible in the same way, even if they did not do the exact same thing.
No doubt, no doubt. And then, but that's not where that's not where the brutality stopped. You could see later on, like I said, we clipped it, so you could see them taking them up. And, like, I mean... first of all, the surveillance video was released, and then there were at least 2 different body cams that were released. So you got to hear some of the audio, and like as Robert Johnson gained consciousness, I mean, he was going at him. He was upset. They kept trying to tell him to relax, relax, be calm, and understandably, he's like, hell no, I'm not relaxing. You just brutalized me. You just hit me. You just disrespected me. How could you expect me to relax at this point?
Sucker punched me.
Yes.
With some very heavy.
And the last blow was like with the forearm or the elbow or something like that.
So I don't care if that moment was over. Like, I don't care if that moment was over.
Relax, buddy. Relax. It's okay.
It's okay. I know we just like punched the hell out of you. Like, but relax now. Relax now. Like, I don't understand how you're not connecting, like, how his, like, anger and how his, a lack of wanting to cooperate is based on what y'all just did to him.
Like, he's a human.
Like, yeah,
you just repeatedly punch him in the face and you expect him to get it over.
Because
you're still on him, though.
No, because exactly, you're still on him, and like they're controlling his neck. My thing is, his body is already in control. You saw that clip where there was an officer like who had his hand on his head and was trying to control his head. I was like, his body is already under control, and I think they already had him cuffed right there.
Yes, they did.
So his body was under control of 6 officers, but you still feel the need to grab his head. So that seems that seems like overkill.
The reason for that, and I don't know if you picked up on it, but it is audible. So when they were going to the elevator, he turned around and he said, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all pussy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he said.
He's like, he said something like, "You feel good? Y'all pussy, your pussy."
So when he turned around and said that, that's the P sound, and the officer claimed that he was trying to spit at him. So that's when he grabbed him by the neck and pushed his head into the elevator door.
No, that was for that was purposeful.
Yeah.
That was a premeditated attempt to justify what he was about to do, and he was just speaking to the audio receiver and the body cam to give himself justification for doing that.
You trying to spit on me?
You trying to spit on me? Yeah, that's what that was for. He was just playing it up.
So then later on, you know, of course we didn't show it because the whole video is about 20 minutes long. So they ended up, you know, taking him back down to the ground. They kind of like they hog tied him. And then they put I don't know if you heard that too, but they were talking about a spit mask. And one officer said they had one in the car. So I guess they got that. They put a mask around him so he couldn't spit on him. Had his hands behind his back, had him hog-tied, and they actually lifted him up, put him in the elevator, took him down, put him in the car, and then, you know, and then they took him to jail. So he was. The charges.
Yeah, charges, man. Those are hilarious.
Oh my gosh. So what was the charges?
It was like suspicion of disorderly conduct.
Suspicion of disorderly conduct.
And like I think it was like resisting arrest.
Yes, because you know it's got to be resisting arrest.
And
those are the two major ones.
Disorderly conduct is basically him responding to being punched and assaulted.
Right.
And like that's like basically they created the disorderly conduct because he's mad and yelling at them. So that's the disorderly conduct, but that's connected to them brutalizing him.
Exactly.
And like, when was he under arrest though?
When was he even being detained?
At what point was he being under arrest? Did he just assume he's being under arrest because y'all are assaulting him? You haven't said, hey, I'm putting you under arrest. He just should assume that. It's just, again, trumped up charges.
He got jumped by a gang.
He got jumped. So
anyway, so after this incident, the Mesa Police Chief Ramon Batista, he placed the four officers that were involved in this incident. He placed them on paid administrative leave. Of course, it's paid administrative leave, while the department conducts an investigation. So there's actually a video of the police chief Ramon Batista talking about this incident and what's being done afterwards. And so this is some video from him.
What happens is an officer arrives, he runs into two individuals that are on the same floor, on the third floor, and he goes ahead and gives them very calm direction to hang on. He asks one of them to sit down. A few more officers arrived via the elevator that this happened. And because there was allegation that there was weapons involved, the individual was frisked. No weapons were located, and then the individual was asked to move away from the railing, because it's the third floor. Move away from the railing, stand by the wall, and then it asked to sit down. When the person didn't sit down, that our officers then engaged in use of force to make them sit down. I don't feel that our officers were at their best. I don't feel that the situation needed to go in the way that it went. As soon as this event came to us, we took steps to have the officers removed from active service and essentially placed on administrative assignment while this case is being investigated.
Yeah, the chief claims he didn't know anything about the altercation for an entire week.
Yeah, the video was sent to him by a citizen.
He said a citizen sent him the video, and he said it was very alarming. And when he examined it, he wanted to open up an immediate investigation. But he didn't know about it for a week. But the question is, why didn't he know about it for a week? And the reason why he didn't know about it for a week is because the police officers did not include all this on their incident reports. So
no, they did not.
That to me is falsification of a police report.
All this was just like any other day when somebody was being disorderly and refusing, or like what's the charge?
disorderly conduct, resisting arrest.
You're resisting arrest.
And my thing
just
is,
like any other day.
And my thing is, I noticed like the other officer pointing, because there was already officers there questioning the actual suspect. There was like 2 officers already there questioning the suspect. I have a problem with these officers just pointing at some guy.
Right.
That's what they did. Once
they came off the elevator.
Once the other officers came out of the elevator.
Not explain anything.
Didn't explain anything. He could have prompted Johnson, right? He said, "Hey, Mr. Johnson, got some other officers coming up. They might search you and this and that." Well, he just points to Johnston. And pretty much he's surprised by the other officers. But even though he's surprised, you know what? He was better than me in that moment,
right?
Because you best believe I would have backed him and said, "Why your hands on me?"
Exactly.
And he actually was like, he noticed who it was, and he was like, "Oh."
That's why I said. That's why I called it gracious. He was very gracious.
He was like, "Okay." And again, once they finished the search, as the chief said, they went over to the wall. My thing is, he's already been searched, so they have determined he doesn't have a weapon. The next thing to do would be to question him. He doesn't have to sit on the ground for them to do that
because he's not being detained.
But see, they're suspicious. They're suspicious of something, even though there's nothing discernible to be suspicious of. I guess it's their imagination that comes into play now. That's what it is. It's their imagination.
See, my problem with what the police chief Ramon Batista said, or it's really about what he said and how he said it too. You can see he was very guarded, and he wasn't capable of really criticizing his officers. He said that he thinks his officers were not at their best. No, your officers were acting like gang members, and they assaulted an individual that had nothing to do with what you were investigating. That's
like saying when somebody says you're not at your best, that suggests that they were a mistake, or they weren't trying to be at their worst, or they were trying to be their best and they just missed the mark. When somebody says, "Oh, I just wasn't at my best today," that's like maybe you shot 30% from the court.
Right.
Maybe you didn't hit your free throws, but you were actually trying.
But see, those are mistakes that are just like you can expect those in the process. But you shouldn't be expecting assaulting people that have nothing to do with the investigation.
To do with the investigation.
And then later on in this interview or the statement that he was making, he said, "Quote, you know what? I even actually have the visual for that." He said, "I think it's important for our community to know that I have since moved to institute policy changes that will limit the opportunity where we will apply strikes to a person's face or a person's head absent the supporting conditions for that to occur." Are you telling me
that wasn't in place before?
Are you serious? You have to apply that, like you have to implement that into training, into like policy guidelines now that you saw one of your officers, or one that was very brutal, another that was doing some punching too. But now that you see this video, it just occurs to you, hey, you know, I never thought about it before, but I don't think we should like violently punch people in their head.
Well, I think it's important to mention that this is Mesa, right? This is Mesa,
Arizona.
This is the same city where Daniel Shaver died. Remember Daniel Shaver? Sorry. Yeah. Remember Daniel Shaver?
I do remember.
We covered that story.
Yep.
The dude in the hotel.
The dude that was scared as can be, scared that he was going to be shot dead. He was crying, visibly shaken, and he was crawling because the officers instructed him to crawl to him, to crawl to the officers. And, you know, it looks like his pants were coming down, and he made a motion. They shot him dead.
Well, that one cop with the itchy trigger finger, who was like, you can tell just by his tone and his language, it was like he was overly aggressive, and like he was explicitly almost telling this guy, "I'm looking for a reason to shoot you, so don't mess up, don't make one mistake."
He was very aggressive in his language.
That was Mesa Police. That was Mesa Police too. Mm-hmm. It was another situation involving, I think in February, involving an 84-year-old woman.
Yep.
Where police were called because the son of this woman was like, I guess, causing a disturbance, being like loud and abusive, just being aggressive, and the police were called on him.
Right.
Well, this 84-year-old woman, she had recently had a stroke, and she was told to dispatch that she was told by the police were told by dispatch
by the mother of the son.
By the mother of the son,
right?
That she had recently suffered a stroke and she might be out of it. So just be aware of that before you get there. Mesa Police got there, and she is out of sorts, and she's coming out of the house and she's walking around. She doesn't know what's going on. And they're trying to instruct her to like come out of the way. We have to deal with this.
Or to come to them.
Come to them. Yeah. And she does eventually come to them. And you can tell by her speech and what she's saying, she's not completely there. Right. She's saying stuff like, "Oh, it's like the TV show. This is like a TV show, right?" So instantly, again, already armed. Well, I don't even want to use that word. Already knowledgeable about the information about her stroke. And you hear that, you can tell she's not all the way there. So obviously you have to deal with her delicately. And they're trying to physically get her out the way. They instantly become aggressive.
Yeah, they pulled her arm. Pulled her arm. And she's trying to get away,
She's trying to get away.
And then they pulled her arm, slam her to the ground.
And if y'all can look this up. You just type it into Google, 84-year-old Mesa Police assault, whatever.
So she had to go to the hospital.
She had to go to the hospital, and she had like some serious injuries to her eye and to her arm.
Had bruises, had cuts. Her eye was like a black eye.
So it looks like we have a culture here. Look like we have a trend.
Pattern of violence.
This city's police departments.
Yes. But now we're going to institute some changes. That's what the police chief says, Ramon Batista. Oh, you know what? All this brutality that's been going on, it hadn't occurred to me that we have a problem. But now we're going to stop striking people in their head when they don't give us a good reason to do it.
Like, my thing is, that seems to be something that should have already been a staple within police procedure. Hey, don't strike people in the head that don't need to be. Like that's not like something extraordinary. He's making it like this is something that was called for because it is an extraordinary way to deal with suspects and to go about practicing their police work or whatever. That's not that extraordinary. That just seems like something that's basic, and he's making it sound like we're taking steps now.
Yeah, like this is like going above and beyond like what's expected. The 84-year-old woman that Mike was talking about, after that incident, because the granddaughter, or it was I think it was the daughter that put it on Facebook. Yeah. Might have been the granddaughter. I'm not sure, but somebody related to the grandma, to this 84-year-old woman, put her injuries, the pictures of her injuries, on Facebook. And so, once it got out, of course, the Mesa Police Chief, Batista, he had a comment on it. Just check out what he said, okay? So he said that he's going to be, or Mesa police officials are going to be in contact with professionals in the community that specialize in senior care, quote, to better understand their unique needs and how to enhance our training protocols. You need to meet with professionals that specialize in senior care to understand that you shouldn't be brutalizing 84-year-old women that have nothing to do with what you're investigating. You need to learn how not to violently pull them and throw them to the ground and then detain them. She was handcuffed.
They need to learn how to adjust their approach. They need to learn that. They need to learn how to adjust their approach towards people who have been impaired mentally by a stroke. Like, to me, I don't think it's necessary for anyone, not just a police officer, but a human in general, to have extensive training. You know what I'm saying? So they can know how to engage human beings. I don't think it takes extensive training to do that. It should be that should be second nature.
If this is true, what he is saying, if this is true, this is the most ignorant police department on the planet. If he's saying what is true, like, they don't know how to deal with the community. They don't know how to not brutalize citizens. If what he's saying is true.
Yeah, I know that's bad. If what he's saying is true.
They're just incapable.
I don't think I don't think he believes that.
No.
That's just making it seem like I didn't know that. You know how like kind of kids do.
Yeah.
Like kind of kids do, like when they play like they didn't know they weren't supposed to be doing something. They were like, I forgot, Daddy. Or like, I didn't know. Like,
this would be acceptable if the police department was full of like 8-year-olds. Damn,
well,
you know,
actually,
we can't throw people down. I saw it on TV.
Mentally, maybe they're full of 8-year-olds, but you know, this kind of makes you want to take a knee, eh?
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of does.
This is America.
You know, and let's go to that real quick. Then.
Police be tripping now.
Yeah. So, so as part of the Colin Kaepernick collusion grievance case against the NFL, let me start it over. As part of the Colin Kaepernick grievance case against the NFL, Kaepernick's attorneys are expected to pursue a federal subpoena for President Trump, Vice President Mike Pence, and other officials. And this is all being done because, you know, Kaepernick and his attorneys want to force them to testify in this grievance case. So I think that's a very sound strategy, and I think it's absolutely apt too, because we reported on this, I don't know if it was the last program or maybe last week, but there had been some testimony that came out of this grievance case. And there was testimony from the Dallas Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, that said he spoke on the phone with President Trump, and President Trump was telling him that he wasn't going to let this go. This was a winning issue for me. I'm not going to drop it. Okay? It's not going to be done. So if you hear those words, and then outside of that, we also heard the content of a meeting with players and owners, and how the owners did not want to talk about Kaepernick whatsoever. All they wanted to talk about was, I guess, not being in the crosshairs of President Trump. So all of this suggests that the new anthem rule, the new anthem policy, was done to capitulate to President Donald Trump. So if that's true, then Donald Trump is actually colluding with the owners and the league on keeping Kaepernick out of the league.
See, this is why I don't like it when people are comparing Colin Kaepernick's free speech, to Roseanne's. Right. Because, both ABC and the NFL are private corporations. So people are comparing those two situations when they can't even be compared, because the government, not just the government, but its highest representative in Donald Trump, and the second, which is Mike Pence, stuck its nose in the Kaepernick situation, trying to influence how they express themselves. Correct. So it automatically becomes a free speech issue, since there's government representatives involved in influencing how someone expresses themselves, and them trying to influence a corporation. That wasn't the case with Roseanne.
It's completely different.
It's completely different.
And what you're talking about is against the United States Code. The United States Code, Title 18, Section 227, that it says it's illegal for the president, quote, to influence solely on the basis of partisan political affiliation, an employment decision, or employment practice of any private entity. Yeah,
Roseanne's issues was a corporation firing her because of her constant social etiquette issues. So there was nobody in the government that actually got involved in that. That's why I don't like people comparing the two, and like the code that you just read off, that's kind of an indication that the government was actually involved in how a citizen expressed themselves, regardless of whether it was on their job. He got involved.
Right. If somebody gets arrested, if somebody says the wrong thing that makes their employer uncomfortable, they do have the right to terminate that relationship. That's just the way it is. And that's exactly what happened with Roseanne Barr. I mean, that has nothing to do with Colin Kaepernick. The president of the United States is affecting his employment with a private entity. That's illegal.
Yeah, like in this case, it wasn't just him like doing like I guess rants on Twitter, rhetorically just going off on Twitter, or through a mic at a rally. It wasn't just that. He was actually meeting face to face with owners.
Right.
I think that changes it a bit.
Right. And telling them that this was going to be an issue that he doesn't let go of. This is a winning issue for him. So the NFL, as long as they allow players to continue kneeling, he was going to keep on their backs about it. And just like he said just a few days ago as well, with the new policy, it's not to his satisfaction because players now have the opportunity to stay off the field during the playing of the national anthem. And he believes that it's the same thing. So going forward, he's still going to inject himself in this conversation. He is affecting the practices of a private entity.
Like, but see, it's amazing how people don't see this as the epitome of government intrusion, though. You know what I'm saying? But I guess it's okay if that kind of intrusion appeals to their like superficial nativism, you know what I'm saying, that relies on symbolism to make themselves feel good. I guess it's okay then, you know what I'm saying?
So there's going to be a process to actually get in Trump to actually testify. And this is from Yahoo News. The quarterback's legal team first must notify the system arbitrator of the need for targeted depositions beyond the boundaries of the agreement between the NFL and the players union. That would entail presenting a detailed argument to the system arbitrator overseeing the grievance, spelling out the relevance and impact that testimony from Trump or others could have on the grievance. If the arbitrator rules the testimony would be justifiable, that would open the door for Kaepernick's attorneys to seek the subpoenas in a district court under the Federal Arbitration Act. So there will be a process here. Now, I guess there have been some that have compared this to this whole investigation with Robert Mueller, the special counsel, because there have been subpoenas and it seems like Trump is trying to get around those and not, you know, he's not trying to testify. So maybe in a case like this, he won't want to testify either, and he'll just be like, I'm just not doing it. I'm the president. I have a right to be like, no, I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to testify. But while that is possible, it is also possible that the narcissist, Donald Trump, might actually want to speak his mind on this issue because he's been speaking his mind to all of America, right, on this issue. Why not do it under oath, right? Why not do it on, you know, during this hearing? That might put him in a bit of hot water.
Like, I think, but see, again, he has like tunnel vision. He sees every, like, I guess, every situation like this as an opportunity to like brand himself, increase the value of his brand, you know, his presidency, value himself in that way. Like, and
I believe the idiot that he is, he thinks that he actually has the right to do this, affect somebody else's job in a private corporation, business, whatever, their job.
So you're saying that since he thinks he is in the right here, he doesn't have any clue that he's in the wrong.
I don't think so.
So he's just going to, I guess, unknowingly dig himself a bigger hole.
It's very possible. It's very possible. Like I said, I think the case has already been proven. I think there's enough circumstantial evidence to prove that the owners did collude and that they did collude with Donald Trump as well to keep Colin Kaepernick out of the league. I think there's enough evidence to prove
and
that.
This whole thing is based on the damn national anthem, dog. But is it really based on the national anthem, or do you think it's based on something else? Like, because I think the whole thing is just couched in racism, dog, and it allows people to activate their racial dominionism. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole issue is like black bodies being affected, primarily being affected by police brutality. So instead of objecting to that, they just kind of mask their apathy to that by kind of like hiding it within like patriotic language. You know what I'm saying?
And see, the whole look of it, somebody like Donald Trump is able to criticize these players because, see, these black players are making a lot of money. You should be grateful. What are you complaining about? You know, America has problems. What, black people have problems? What, like, you don't have problems. You're living a very luxurious life. What's your problem?
But then he's not getting it, but because it's not even about them. They're standing up for other people. But see, he doesn't believe those other people actually have value. So
that's why he has to make it about something as empty
and honestly,
hollow.
and as the patriotism, and I think that's why the people that support him like it, because they can hide their bigotry, and they can hide their racism, they can hide their hate for black bodies within this this subject of the national anthem or patriotic language. It just gives them this cover to do it.
Because if they actually had to talk about the issue at hand, that would be uncomfortable, and that might actually out themselves for what they actually are. But see, some players are not allowing that to just go so easily. So Malcolm Jenkins, who is part of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles, I believe it was yesterday, he was being surrounded, just customarily being surrounded by reporters, especially after President Trump had canceled the visit to the White House for the Philadelphia Eagles. So of course reporters want statements, they want some sound bites and things like that. So they surrounded his locker, and he refused to take questions. But he did answer. I mean, he did give them answers, but just not in the form of like an audio statement. So we had cards. He had cards to show these reporters, and this was one of them. Says, "You aren't listening." And so he had many cards. Some cards were full of stats, about how many people are imprisoned in America, the percentage of people of color that are in prison in America related to like the percentage of the population they are, deaths at the hands of law enforcement, things like that. He had them all on the cards, and he was doing this all to refocus the conversation, because we have people like Donald Trump, like President Trump, that are trying to make this about the national anthem when it's not. So he's trying to actually is about social and racial injustice. That's what he's trying to do. So I love what he's doing. I absolutely love what he's doing, and more people, like all players. It doesn't even matter if you ever kneeled before. Don't let Donald Trump and others hijack this issue. Don't let them turn this into something that it's not. It's never been about the national anthem. It's always been about like the troubling issues that are going on in this country. So I love what he's doing, and I hope he keeps it up, man.
Yeah, because like by doing it this way, like his words cannot be twisted,
right?
Like, because sometimes when reporters take comments, we have like this tendency as human beings to kind of maybe over-explain some issues and go on and not be direct, and everybody's not good at being very direct about what they're actually standing up for, and sometimes the media will take their comments and kind of chop them up, and some people will misinterpret their arguments even if the media doesn't do that.
Right.
So I think that's a good strategy. Here's the signs, and here are the stats. Right. Here are the signs. Here are the stats.
You don't need to hear my words.
You don't need to hear my words, because you ain't gonna take my words
exactly.
Just
mangling them up and make them something else. Yeah, it's plainly stated on these cards. One thing else, another thing I wanted to bring up about this. We've talked about the New York Jets. We've talked about the acting owner, Christopher Johnson, and the comments he made saying that if any Jets players actually do kneel on the field while the anthem is being played going forward, that he's going to take that hit. If the team gets fined, he's not going to apply that to the players. He's just going to take that because he doesn't want to impact their free speech, their freedom of expression. He doesn't want to muzzle them like that, right? So that we applauded that. But there's some other, there's another effort that he's making with players as well. So the owner, Christopher Johnson, and current Jets players, Josh McCown, Kelvin Beachum, and former Jet Demario Davis, they all signed a letter urging the New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, to actually do something about bail, the bail situation in New York. So this is them using their celebrity, losing their influence to actually make a positive change. Like, they want bail reform because it's a serious problem all across this country. So here's a situation where I love the fact that players are using their reach to get something done. But do you know how much more it is to actually have one of the owners right by your side and actually penning this letter with you?
Because that owner to me is showing that he sees those employees and those incredible athletes as more than that, more than just athletes. He sees their humanity, unlike a lot of these owners, and probably some of these coaches too, and probably unlike a lot of these supposed NFL fans who just see these players as, demolition derby dummies. You know what I'm saying? So he's showing that he sees these players as people, and he sees that they are actually standing up for a decent cause.
They suggested changes like eliminating bail for many misdemeanors and nonviolent felonies, which is something that we've talked about with the Philly DA Larry Krasner and how he's implementing some of these changes as well. Bail is a very that's a very important issue to tackle because it hits poor people the worst.
Because it's basically it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, in my opinion, because it's not equal protection of the law. By default, a poor person is not going to be able to make bail
exactly
like a rich person. So they essentially are granted more freedom because they have the money to get out.
And we talked about, this was weeks ago, we talked about in the case of Louisiana, I believe, and how it was thousands of people that were sitting in jail, had never actually went through a trial.
3 years.
4 years in jail because they can't make bail. Never been brought up on the charges that they're actually being faced with.
And that's the same city where the local law enforcement officials were belly aching because they were not able to, I guess, get the state out of budget issues because they promised that the jails would be full. Right. That's the very same state. You think those two issues could be linked? You see what I'm saying? That the law enforcement officials of that state were, trying to explain why their jails weren't full and why they couldn't fill the jails.
Right.
And then that's the same state that has over 1,300 people who haven't stood trial. Right. It looks like they're purposefully trying to, I guess, create an issue to deal with those concerns they had about their prisons not being full. Well, trying to deal with it indirectly.
That's one. It seems like they also are interested in free labor. Slavery. That's what it looks like. Look, just like you said, this is impactful because this owner for the Jets, Christopher Johnson, he's in on this initiative with the players, which means that he's working with them. He sees them as peers. Like he sees them as like we have to do this together. Equals.
Well, did you say they petitioned who? Cuomo?
Yeah, Andrew Cuomo.
You know what they should do? They should kind of get your girl. You already know I'm going.
Well, Ms. Nixon?
you already know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Get your girl Cynthia on the phone and be like, yo, Cynthia, we need you to do something for us. Because we've already seen Cynthia put like her platform up there, and I think she knows she doesn't have a chance in hell, but she's still doing that because she knows that Cuomo in response is probably going to want to do some last minute things that will help him out in the general.
So if you make this an issue,
and like Cynthia says, you know what, I'm for this, and advocating for exactly what the players have petitioned Cuomo for, maybe Cuomo might be like, damn it.
Because this is big. It's not just like one individual or just like somebody that has no status whatsoever. This is the New York Jets, okay? Which, I mean, they're big in New York, of course. I mean, it's NFL football. So you have an owner with you on this as well. You can make this a very big thing if you so choose. Get to work. Get to work, man.
Yeah, before we move on to the next story, Moose Gal in the comments says, Mike and Will, are there any places in America where a black man can roam freely without wondering if any cops will come after them? Yes, there is. I think that place is called Negro Town. It was featured in a Key and Peele sketch. So go watch that. Go watch that sketch. And that is definitely a place where black people can roam freely without wondering if any cops will come after them. Negro Town. Key and Peele sketch. It's just as real as Wakanda.
Yeah, because I'm racking my brain here. I'm like, because it's a lot of times, like even in this particular case with Robert Johnson, I believe some of the statements he was making was like, you know, it was his own people that was disrespecting him because there were black cops there, and it was the one that brutalized them the most was definitely a black cop. But see, I think what a lot of people do understand, but what some people don't understand is that this is not a race issue. Like, once you're serving law enforcement, you do what they do. Like,
yeah, exactly.
they target black communities. It's not just white cops that target black communities. It's also the black cops. It's also the Latino cops.
It's not like
it's every cop.
It's not like they work for a separate police force.
Exactly.
It's not like oh, black people put on a uniform and now that they are like divided off into their own little sub police force. I'm like, they're going to engage in their jobs in the same way that the rest of the department is going to, like.
That's right.
Going to, you know what I'm saying?
It's not. I mean, I can't say what's in the minds of, you know, a black cop versus a white cop and how they may perceive the situations. You know, if it is a black subject, you know, and they're actually brutalizing them. I mean, does it impact them in any different way? I can't say, but I think the results, like all the evidence that we have, is it doesn't matter if it's a white. It doesn't matter what the color is. What American cops do is that they target black, Hispanic areas, Latino areas. That's what they do. So if they target those areas, you know, they're going to be more arrests coming from those areas. There's going to be more brutalities in those areas.
I think people will say that as if that's going to like shut down the conversation. Like, okay, damn it, black guy punched him. Well, I'm not going to talk about police brutality anymore. Like, what kind of dumb shit is that, man?
Exactly.
Get out of here.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. What we got left?
KK. We got KK. Or KKW.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to that.
KKW.
Yeah. KKW. Yeah. Let's go to that one. Where I even got that at, man? All right. Yeah. Okay. Ugh.
Might have some.
All right. So on Wednesday, President Trump granted Alice Marie Johnson clemency. So Johnson has been serving a life sentence in a federal prison for over 21 years due to drug trafficking. She was, for a period of at least 2 or 3 years, she held a very instrumental role in this whole drug trafficking ring. And so she was sentenced in 1996, and she was serving time in a federal prison. So what that means is that she was not eligible for parole. So life imprisonment, and that's it. So her only recourse was having a presidential pardon or a commutation, something like that. So President Trump did grant that. So he commuted her he commuted her sentence, and so she will be getting out sometime soon. So this clemency was granted just 1 week. Exactly 1 week prior to Kim Kardashian West showing up at the White House on behalf of her to advocate for her release to President Donald Trump. And so we covered this last week. And I guess with the result, with her actually, her sentence being commuted and her actually getting to see the light of day now, she's a grandmother. She served over 21 years. I am ecstatic. I mean, I think it is absolutely wonderful news that she is out of jail. She's out of federal prison, and she's able to live her life now. I think it's wonderful.
L Train is being silly. Talk about where's Frank Lucas' pardon. I was like, I'm trying not to look at it, but I was like, I can't even go on with this story without mentioning that. But yeah, there are a lot of our friends and our political allies that are applauding this. I mean, I think you've seen it.
I've seen it.
I've seen it on Facebook. People that we love, we listen to, and we respect. Applaud this effort. I'll put effort in quotes.
You got to put it in quotes.
Got to put it in quotes.
Yeah.
Kim K's efforts.
Yeah.
But I defiantly don't applaud this. I mean, I guess maybe because one person being freed, even if it's good for that person and their family, doesn't strike me as like anything significant, especially when there are thousands of people in the same position as Johnson right now. You know what I'm saying? It's still just one person. You see what I'm saying? I was like, where does it go? Where does it go after this? I mean, people will say, well, she used her celebrity to do something good. But I'm thinking, was it just her celebrity that did it though? Or was it kind of Kanye making inroads with Donald Trump and appealing to his ego that kind of started it? You see what I'm saying? Because I don't think it was just a celebrity alone. I just don't think that that's a good route to go, stroking Trump's ego in order to build inroads into the White House and using celebrity as the kind of the secondary key to unlock Trump's heart.
See,
to me, that shouldn't be applauded. Like, I'm sorry, dog. I mean, like, if you have to do that in order to give access, that means you have to co-sign on all that other vile stuff. You are co-signing that other vile stuff if you just appeal to his ego and say he's just the greatest person in the world, we support him, to get something very, to me, insignificant on the back end.
See, just like you said, there are thousands other that are in similar positions as was Alice Marie Johnson. Kim Kardashian saw a Mike video. It was a viral video, hit many people. And that's how she got onto this issue. That's how she got on the case. And she contacted Alice Marie Johnson's lawyers. And like I said, she wanted to advocate for her. So that's, she went to the White House to advocate for her, talk about prison reform, whatever. And just a week later, she's granted clemency. So again, I believe it's great that one individual is getting out, because I don't believe she should have been in jail at all, one. But two, for 21 years and serving a sentence without parole, that's absolutely crazy. So again, I can't say enough of how I feel great for her. But the thousands of others that are in similar situations, if Kim Kardashian actually wanted to do something, and I've seen a lot of criticism, and I have criticism for whatever Kardashian's efforts were, because I'm not going to say that a celebrity can't take up an issue, use their celebrity, use all the clout that they have, all the influence they have, and actually make a difference, actually do something positive for this world, for this country, for a state, for a community, whatever. They could definitely do that. They can definitely use the impact that they do have, and they could, funnel it into something positive. I applaud an effort like that. But when Kim Kardashian only chooses one person, one individual, when there are literally thousands of people in the same situation, you pick one of them and say, hey, President Trump, I want you to release this individual. You haven't done a damn thing. If you really want to take this issue up, why didn't you form a list? Why didn't you come in there with a clipboard? Damn, you know what? Damn a clipboard. You know what? Because I'm thinking old school. Come with a drive.
Yeah, drive.
Come with a drive.
Thumb drive.
Yeah, thumb drive.
Or a tablet.
Exactly. Plug it into a computer. Say, look, you see all these thousands of people? We need all these people go. We need to let all these people go, okay? That's one. Two, there are people saying, like you just said, there are people saying that they're applauding her effort and saying that she did great things. Like she used her celebrity to get this done. But when you release one prisoner, but the whole system remains in place for thousands of others to be in the same position that Alice Marie Johnson was in, what did you do?
It looks like she just kind of used her celebrity and kind of used an issue of prison reform. Like, again, we do have to kind of wait to see how this fleshes out. We have to wait to see what actual effort she puts in at a later date or in later dates. Because apparently,
I got kind of angry though. I'm kind of upset.
So I mean, yes, I mean, she says she wants to help with prison reform, but again, in what capacity? What capacity and to what extent? Like, what is she actually going to do? I don't think, with her lack of knowledge of, I guess, the prison system, she can do things by herself. So she has to kind of put the time and the effort in to advocating by going to groups that actually do that and kind of linking with them. And then kind of...
she can't be alone on this.
She can't be alone on this because she knows just as much as anybody else, just as much as her fans know about the prison industry and prison reform. So like I said, we got to see how this fleshes out. I just don't see a lot of, you know, good coming from this. I just don't, because it just looks like she picks a favorite from that Mike video.
Right. Viral video.
And again,
it rubbed you the right way.
It rubbed you the right way. And again, obviously she's going to have to make it when she comes in there. She knows the game. She knows optics. That's her game. She knows how to put certain things out about herself to increase her brand. So she's no dummy with like PR. Mm-hmm. So you really think she was just going to go up in there with kind of a plan to free this one person without like putting some other major issue or connecting it with some other major issue? You think she wasn't going to do that? You see what I'm saying? Like, again, that's just my pessimism. I just think she was kind of connecting it to that larger issue and to kind of provide some sort of buffer to her wanting to get this one person free. Again, we just gonna have to wait and see. I just don't see a lot coming from this. At least like after the pardon, there could have been, not the pardon, but the clemency.
Yeah.
There could have been at least some indication that Trump, because that's who she went to, was going to, I don't know, try to initiate something like legislatively or instruct Congress through like executive order. I'm not saying like write one then and there, but like, hey, I might do an executive order, or I might instruct the DOJ, or I might do that. Nothing came of that.
Well, see, that's why
nothing like that came out of this.
First, like I give Kim Kardashian just minuscule amounts of credit, but Donald Trump, I give absolutely no credit whatsoever. And a lot of people are giving him credit. Hey, he did something good, especially noting like his take on the war on drugs and how he's even advocated for, you know, the death penalty for drug traffickers, drug dealers. He's advocated for the death penalty because he thinks they kill like thousands of people, right? So yeah. So noting that somebody like that actually granted clemency to somebody that was in jail for the same damn thing, that's wow. So of course his supporters like, yeah, I mean, he did a great thing. But when looking at the people that he has actually granted a pardon to or clemency to or whatever, this is all about celebrity. So you got Alice Marie Johnson, and her release was advocated by a celebrity, right? So you got Jack Johnson. Celebrity. He was a celebrity, and celebrities advocated for him to be pardoned. Sylvester Stallone. Okay, so Joe Arpaio, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He was a sheriff. He had a very notable position, right? High profile position. A buddy of Donald Trump, right? Who else? Dinesh D'Souza.
He can be considered a buddy of Donald Trump,
yes,
seeing as his entire political agenda, or like probably one big piece of Dinesh D'Souza's political agenda, was always going after Obama.
And he's a celebrity. Another one, Scooter Libby, former chief of staff to Dick Cheney, high profile position. All of these people are celebrities, and possibly he will pardon two more that he's talked about. Rod Blagojevich, who was the governor of Illinois, and who's, you know, his wife is making the rounds, giving so much praise to Donald Trump, so you know what's coming. And then also Martha Stewart, who's a damn celebrity. All of these people have some kind of clout, some kind of name that is known out there. They have a celebrity to them. So it's not that Donald Trump is like, hey, you know what? Let me do something good. Let me find somebody. Hey, you were really screwed over by the system, man. I'm gonna grant your release. Did he do that?
A little man.
No, he's not advocating for little people that don't have any name, people that don't have any support. He's advocating for celebrities. He didn't do a damn thing, man.
I think would Kaepernick or any other NFL players magically be favored by Trump if they would have just came to him and talked about how great he was before they tried to kneel? You really think that? You know what I'm saying?
But before they kneeled, if they would have came to him and said, "I love you, Trump. You're the best," Trump,
and publicly said he's the greatest president in the world and he's done so much,
I don't think it would have went down the same way. I don't think it would have went down the same way, man. it looks like he caters to a lot of congratulations, a lot of like kiss my ass, kiss my feet. Looks like he's the type of dude that if you like him, he likes you.
Or if you say you like him, he likes you.
At least that.
Yeah, at least you say he does.
Yeah.
Or you say you do.
You rhetorically like him. All right. What else we got, man? What else we got?
We got his buddy, the new addition to his team. We got your boy from Starbucks.
Yeah, let's do the Starbucks. Let's do that. Because the other ones, I think, probably a little shorter.
Shorter and kind of more update-ish.
Yeah. Okay, so the outgoing executive chairman of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, recently appeared in an interview with CNBC and spoke about several issues, including the possibility of running for public office. His move to step down from his role at Starbucks has fueled some speculation that he may run for president in 2020 as a Democrat. So they spoke in this interview about President Trump's immigration policy, and he believes it's horrible. They also spoke about the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that was recently passed, and he talked about how he disagreed with that is bad policy. Mostly the interview was about the economy and what moves Schultz believes is necessary to, I guess, make a real positive impact, in this nation. So he also found some time to criticize some certain Democrats because he believes that, I guess, their ideology is too progressive.
Too left.
Yes.
Yes, it's too
left
too
was
far
the word
to the
he
left.
used. Yes.
Too
but
far.
But he wanted to use progressive, but that might
he may
rub some people the wrong
way.
way.
Had somebody in mind too.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a clip of this that we're going to show you, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
When you look at the field, if you will, people say, will Joe Biden run? Will others run? Is there anybody that you get excited about?
I think there's a lot of people who might run for president. I have not focused on that. I will say that it concerns me that so many voices within the Democratic Party are going so far to the left. And I ask myself, how are we going to pay for all these things in terms of things like single payer, or people espousing the fact that the government is going to give everyone a job? I don't think that's realistic. And I think we've got to get away from all of these falsehoods and start talking about the truth and not false promises. Right. I think the greatest threat domestically to the country is this $21 trillion debt hanging over the cloud of America and future generations. And the fact that interest rates are going up, we're going to be paying close to over $400 billion in interest expense, which I think is the number one or number two issue in terms of federal expense to the country. The only way we're going to get out of that is we've got to grow the economy, in my view, 4% or greater, and then we have to go after entitlements. And again, this is where political ideology and the political class is not facing the truth and not facing reality.
Well, I love to hear a progressive speak. Doesn't it just like warm your heart to hear somebody speak that progressive-ish?
First of all, I find his debt talk very suspicious. I think that's just kind of one of those trigger topics, that he knows will kind of get his foot in the door, or the conversational door, and get people talking about him. So of course he mentions the debt. I think that's kind of how he breaks the ice. Because, it was weird, throughout that whole interview, and we weren't able to show all of it because it was kind of long. To me, it was he was a mixed bag of treats and trouble. Because he did mention, I guess, certain things that were economic fallacies that people like to espouse. He does agree that the stock market is not a good indication of how the economy is doing. He did mention the tax law not creating a level playing field.
He mentioned that he didn't agree with the corporate rate going down.
He talked about corporations forwarding all the benefits to shareholders. So, he was a mixed bag, and I think the reason why he's a mixed bag is because he's actually he's just a corporate baron, just like all the rest of them. He's just trying to say certain things that make himself seem like he's progressive. And
how is he different than any other middle of the road centrist Democrat?
Exactly,
corporate Democrat?
Exactly. So like that, those treats that I mentioned, those 3 specific treats, always come with like trouble. And like probably the thing that stuck out the most is him saying something about the Democrats being a lot of Democrats. He said a lot being too far to the left. Yeah. He also the last thing he mentioned was going after entitlements. And it's actually, I don't dislike the word. I just kind of dislike, like, I guess what people think of the word.
Yeah, it has a very negative
connotation.
It kind of allows somebody to believe that
somebody's getting something for free.
Yeah, it's like somebody mooching off of the system, being a freeloader, not putting in the work to actually make something of themselves in this economy.
So his comments about the Democratic Party being full of people who are too far for the left, and then the comment about entitlements tells me most or all of what we need to know about this dude. You know what I'm saying?
So he said when he talked about Democrats being too far to the left, he specifically mentioned single payer, like that being a falsehood. It's false promises. I guess I made a mistake, and I categorized the United States as the wealthiest country in the history of the world. I guess that was wrong of me to determine that the United States is a very wealthy country, and other countries that aren't anywhere near as wealthy, they provide health care for all of their citizens. But somehow we can't do that here.
Yeah, because he talked about how the tax bill pretty much doesn't create a more compassionate society. You know, like kind of what indicated to me that he was full of shit was this moment where the host Kerman asked him about the corporate tax rate, redistribution, companies hoarding their capital, and he pretty much sidestepped that question and started talking about the debt. And I'm like, wait a second, you just talked about creating a more compassionate society and using the most recent tax bill that passed as kind of the platform to articulate that. So I'm trying to figure out. Then he called out these leftist Democrats for, I guess, trying to bite off of something more than they could chew, you know, with a single payer. He mentioned job guarantees, right?
Yeah, he did.
He mentioned job guarantees.
Federal job guarantees.
And that's more of a throwing shade at
Bernie
Sanders, because there's not a lot of Democrats who are kind of advocating for that. So if he's truly trying to, I guess, create a more compassionate society, why isn't he, again, he had the opportunity when the host asked him about redistribution, about corporations hoarding their capital. He had the opportunity to make that connection to either corporations redistributing wealth through fair wages or returning the tax rate back to what it should be without loopholes. That would kind of, I guess, solve those issues he thinks can't be solved as far as entitlements go, and as far as, you know, that these unattainable things like single payer. Like, that's where the...
But see, when he was... Because I remember that question, and he was asked about... Because I guess the knowledge to him was thrown out that it looks like we're on the way to growing the economy at 3%, which is something that we hadn't done under President Barack Obama. We barely reached 2%. So if we're growing at 3%, would you really repeal the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act? Which it doesn't even make sense, because it's only been a few months since the Tax Cut and Jobs Act was passed, and the full effect of it has yet to be felt. So how the hell could you get an accurate analysis of what its impact is? You can't do it at this point, right? So that's one. But then, like you were talking about with the entitlements, right? The thing that bothers me about him saying that, hey, first of all, what we got to do to really get this economy going, making this economy thrive, is that we got to grow the economy at 4%. Once we do that, then we got to tackle entitlements. So he's talking about we got to slash entitlements, something that somebody like Representative Paul Ryan always talks about, right? So this looks like a Republican viewpoint, but yet he's a Democrat, right? But anyway, you're telling me that the economy is in such bad shape that we do need to grow the economy at 4%, which, yeah, anybody would agree with that. But that to do that, we do need to slash entitlements. Now, you didn't say anything about slashing the military budget. You didn't say anything about raising taxes for the absolute richest and wealthiest of us. You didn't say anything about that whatsoever. You didn't say anything about the corporate tax loopholes like you were talking about. Corporate welfare. You didn't say anything about that. You went immediately to entitlements, which poorer people and middle class people benefit from. Now, not only do they benefit from it, they pay into it. So it's not a gift to them. They pay into it. Everybody pays into it.
You mean he wasn't talking about corporate entitlements?
Oh, no. This guy's a phony, man. He's a phony. And I think anybody that sees just those two clips of video, I think it's easy to understand that. He's no different than somebody like Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi. He's just absolutely, he is your typical establishment Democrat, your centrist Democrat that will not go left because he thinks it's too dangerous.
Hey, but
even though Republicans always go right. They always go extreme because they have, I guess, they have the metal to do that, right? Like they have it in them. They have it in their souls to be like, hey, forget what you leftists want. We're going to go for the gusto over here. But too many Democrats, just like this fraud right here, like, it's too far. We got to capitulate. We got to go center.
Well, he didn't really say that. He just said the political class has to start being more truthful about these things. That's what he said. He just said it. He just said,
whose truth?
Exactly. He's just saying, let's be a centrist in a more palatable way. He said he's going to be centrist. Let's all be centrist.
Let's all be centrist.
Let's all be pragmatic.
Yeah. Again, yeah. You know, if he does come out, which it looks like he is, it looks like he will. At some point, I expect him to actually put his hat in the ring, and he'll actually run for president. But his ideas are going to be absolutely nothing new. It's not going to be anything new. Is he going to be anything different than Barack Obama? Would he be anything different? Really? Because he talked about, and like I said, he talked about the immigration policies and how he's objecting to them and how he opposes them. So he is a Democrat because, again, like all Democrats, like their whole, like the whole, like all the issues, they aren't all bad. Like their positions on all the issues aren't bad. Of course they aren't. But on ones of significant importance, they are. Sometimes they're just as bad as Republicans. Just like he said, slashing entitlements. How does that make him anything different than a Paul Ryan?
And how does that really address the main issue he tried to push, and that's the debt?
All right. Your boy. Let's go to your boy.
Juju?
Juju.
Oh.
The infamous. All right. So speaking at a conference in Israel on Wednesday, the newest member of President Trump's legal team, yo boy, the infamous Rudy Giuliani.
The one and only.
The one and only.
The world-renowned cousin marrier. The one that's best at putting that foot all the way deep in the mouth. You know that like cartoon meme? That cartoon meme with the person riding the bike and he shoves a stick in his own spokes and falls down? Like they need to have like a Trump one where Trump is riding the bike and then Rudy Giuliani comes in and he's the one sticking, because it's obviously like the whole meme is centered around blaming somebody else, right? But it's you're doing it yourself. Yeah. In this case, it's Giuliani, who's always seems to be there with the stick, shoving it in
making trouble,
Donald Trump's spokes and making Donald Trump tumble, and not even knowing it.
So Giuliani, on Wednesday, he said that North Korea's Kim Jong-un got, quote, on his hands and knees and begged the U.S. to reinstate the upcoming summit on June 12th, which is just next week before President Trump canceled it. Or, I mean, after President Trump canceled it. So after President Trump canceled it, he said Un got on his hands and knees begging to reinstate it. His actual quote was, Kim Jong-un got back on his hands and knees and begged for it, which is exactly the position you want to put him in.
Like, didn't Kim Jong-un back out because of our lack of diplomacy? Or the lack of diplomacy on our part?
Yeah, because there were some troubling comments coming out of the government.
The White House.
The federal government.
The federal government and the White House.
Mike Pence and his irresponsible comments.
John Bolton. Yeah. And then, like, kind of to lead that off, like, kind of Trump had been for months, you know, I guess, being very rhetorically demonstrative on Twitter.
Offensive.
And not just on Twitter. Like, anytime there was a press conference about North Korea, he was very boastful and whatnot.
No doubt.
It looks like Giuliani picking up where both Pence and Bolton and kind of Trump a few months ago left off. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was brought on to Trump's team as a lawyer, but now he's trying to act like he's Secretary of State. You know what I'm saying? Like who does he think he is?
Know your role, right? Know your role, right? I don't understand. And later on, after there was some criticism because of his words, he had another comment. So in a telephone interview, he said, "Those are my comments. They have nothing to do with the administration and a metaphor. That is my interpretation." So he's saying that this is just, look, this is all him, right? But the problem is that
you're connected to Trump.
You represent Donald Trump, right? Now, of course, he's not there in a federal, I guess,
like cabinet position.
Yeah, he doesn't have a capital. He doesn't have an official capacity in the government. He's just part of his personal legal team. So maybe it's very possible that North Korea sees these words and is like, well, he's a buffoon. You know what? We're not even going to let that affect us because he's a buffoon. We know he's a buffoon. He doesn't speak for the government. But it's also possible that they see that he has a connection to Donald Trump and they view this as troubling and they view it as a slap in the face because that's what North Korea felt about Mike Pence's comments. You're framing us like we're lesser than, like we're scared of you, like we're coming to the table like shaking in our boots or something like that. And now Giuliani goes ahead and
maybe
tries to reaffirm that.
Maybe Giuliani's telling us something. Maybe he's telling the truth. I mean, it's more about him, right? It's more about him being in the spotlight. I mean, he said it himself. He said this is his position, this is him. Has nothing to do with Trump. But, like, if he doesn't understand that he is close enough to Trump for him to have an effect on, possibly have an effect on these summits, and he's dumb. But again, maybe he said something truthful, that he's just in the spotlight for himself. Now, I have no sorry feelings. I don't feel sorry for Trump. Because like attracts like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe whether Trump acknowledges it or recognizes it or not, he's going to attract people just like him, people who will get into certain situations and want to engage in their politics for their own benefit. And maybe Giuliani is doing that. And maybe the people that think they're serving Trump don't even realize themselves that they're serving themselves. It just kind of comes out in certain moments. And that's why I think there's so much turmoil and chaos and conflict in the White House, because you have a bunch of people who are just in it for themselves, like bumping heads. And I think
like they are in it for themselves.
They are in it for themselves, and it's like they just don't even see each other because they are in it for themselves. I don't know.
You know how
that's a theory.
There have been, I don't know if I can say many occasions. I mean, there have been several occasions where if you're talking about a professional sports player, I know it's happened several times where somebody close to that professional sports athlete, they will get on Twitter or something like that. They will get on Facebook, maybe Instagram. They will maybe say something to the media, and it will not be in the best interest of the player. Maybe they might let something slip. Maybe they just might say something that is just totally out of bounds. I remember it was this one, I think he was a safety for the Miami Dolphins, and his wife was just always
Grimes.
Yeah.
It was Brent Grimes.
Brent Grimes. Always like on social media, just like just doing way too much and just putting them in a bad position because he has to answer for that. So, a lot of these times, like, these players have to put the people that are closest to them in their lives in their place. Trump, when you gonna muzzle Giuliani? Seriously, because he's trying to muck stuff up.
But see, again, I don't think, I guess, Trump has a perception to even notice that. You see what I'm saying? He's not even going to notice that. He's not going to notice when people in his camp are fucking stuff up. He doesn't. I don't think he has the ability to notice that because he doesn't see a problem with like Giuliani coming out the mouth like that. He doesn't see how stuff like that like disrupts diplomacy because he wouldn't see how things like that come out of his mouth disrupt diplomacy. Then why would he?
Because he's done the same stuff.
He's done the same stuff. So why would he? I guess view what Giuliani is doing as disruptive. He does. So again, He doesn't. He can't recognize chaos because he is chaos. He is chaotic.
So he attracts chaos.
He attracts chaos, man. And if Kim Jong-un is on his knees, it's because he's doubled over in laughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at these fools, man.
All right. So I believe this will be the last story of the day. So count another loss for the Trump administration. Another big fat L, right? Seems to be a number of L's that the Trump administration has taken. And again, this is just the last one. So count this also as a win for the city of Philadelphia. So on Wednesday, a federal judge ruled that the policy of withholding certain law enforcement grants based on local immigration policies, quote, violates statutory and constitutional law. The judge also said Philadelphia's policy of not fully complying with federal immigration authorities was, quote, reasonable, rational, and equitable. So all this has to do with, sanctuary cities, and as a way of trying to compel these sanctuary cities to actually comply with federal officials, to comply with ICE agents. They were trying to withhold dollars. They were trying to withhold funds for these law enforcement purposes for these cities. But again, count another L. And this is not the first time too, because actually this goes back to last year where it was another federal judge that stated very much the very same thing. That judge was U.S. District Court Judge Michael Blason. And he said in his ruling, and I think I have this up here. Yeah. Back last year, he said in his ruling, Philadelphia is not a sanctuary for anyone involved in criminal conduct, nor is it a sanctuary as to any law enforcement investigation, prosecution, or imprisonment after having been found guilty of a crime. There is no evidence on the record whatsoever that non-citizens in Philadelphia commit any more crimes than the citizens.
And it's not like bigger cities don't already have like a gang task force, because that's what's supposedly, going after these cities and I guess ramping up, ICE agent activities is about MS-13.
Right.
Well, most of these bigger cities have gang task forces and they would not ignore MS-13. So what really is this about? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, this is all about Trump and, his administration trying to impact everywhere in the United States and trying to implement his immigration policy.
And like you said, it's not just dealing with just immigration. He's gotten judicially swatted down in multiple cases.
Multiple cases.
With DACA.
Yep.
With the HHS funding.
Yep.
For birth control.
Yep. With the
transgender ban.
The Muslim ban.
Travel ban. Yeah. Travel ban, Will.
SWAT. All over the place. Again, this is counted as another L. So after that decision last year, the administration appealed, and so it came to this different district judge, federal judge, and like I said, similar ruling. Because the whole thing was we've explained this before, but the whole thing with sanctuary cities is I mean, it's not even a real legal definition or anything like that. Basically, when somebody gets stopped by law enforcement, maybe they get detained or whatever, the whole thing is that these officers are not, I guess, they're not required to verify that a person is in the country legally. That's basically all it is. So the administration, the federal government, wants these officers in all these different cities to actually take that next step and say, hey, you got your papers, are you here legally? Let me see your birth certificate or something.
But that sounds like extra work, though.
It does.
That sounds like extra work. So that means that Trump would have to kind of allocate more funds to these kind of local municipalities, right? To kind of enforce this extra work they're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Well, see, we got to remember, we're not dealing with someone whose kind of attitude is shaped through a rational political prism, you know what I'm saying, which considers consequences and implications of an approach. So he sees everything through like this narrow framework.
Right.
And he's politically immature. So his methodology is very shaky. His methodological motor skills are very shaky and I think willfully undeveloped. So I don't think he understands the implications of some of these kind of approaches he takes to things. This legal approach, because what kind of precedent would that send? I don't even think it's about Trump being smacked down, actually, because I think it's the judges understanding what kind of precedent this would send, because now you have the leader of the free world, or the United States, for political reasons threatening to withhold federal funds. You see what I'm saying? So the judge ruling in this case is considering that. It's not political. He has a greater purpose in looking at what kind of precedents this could possibly set and implications if he doesn't rule against Trump, because you can't have that. You disagree with a city politically, so you're going to block funds. You see what I'm saying? You do
right.
not want to set a precedent like that, because at the end of the day, that could come back to bite not just Trump, but the party he represents, the Republicans, could come back and bite them in the arse. You know what I'm saying?
Like the first district court judge said, there is no evidence on the record whatsoever that non-citizens in Philadelphia commit any more crimes than the citizens. The only way that this would make any sense, the administration's position would make any sense, was if you were talking about werewolves or wild bears, and it's hey, we got to do something about them, and you aren't doing anything about it. You're really putting people in jeopardy here. You're putting people's lives at risk. But what this judge said is that these people that are here that may not be citizens, they're not doing anything over the line. They're not committing more crimes than citizens are. Actually, the data shows that they commit far less crimes than actual citizens do. So again, this would only make sense if you were trying to say that all immigrants, which of course they are trying to do that, you were trying to say that all people that are not here legally are actually putting lives in jeopardy, just like a werewolf would be doing, just like a wild bear or a coyote or something like that.
Hey, but according to him, they are animals. Wait. He was just talking about MS-13.
MS-13. Yeah. He wasn't talking about that. No. MS-13.
Sure. Way to go, Philly, though, man.
True,
you know
that,
what I'm saying? Because
true that. Stick it to him.
Because first, the city's football team, the Eagles, took a massive bird shit on his toupee. Massive bird shit on his toupee by pretty much saying almost the entire team is not coming. Now, a Philly judge just slammed the gavel on his attempted extortion.
That's what it was. And again, they are these cities, the officers in these cities, these sanctuary cities. It's not like they aren't following the law. The administration would have you believe that they're actually breaking the law, which they're not breaking the law whatsoever. You just want them to go over and beyond, like you're hunting animals, like you're hunting very dangerous animals.
Well, kind of what he did say. You bring out werewolves and bears Lions, tigers, and bears, and MS-13.
Yeah, man. We got some. What's that? The most ferocious animal? The most
hyena?
No. It's the honey badger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They have absolutely no predator. They run shit. No, like nobody messes with the honey badger.
So you're saying maybe Trump should create maybe a political ad, a political commercial featuring the honey badger fucking shit up, and then
attribute that to all people that are not here legally.
Yeah, because they fuck shit up like honey badgers. See, that might have worked better. That may have gone over, much more. Like that'd have been more palatable than calling them animals. He just call them honey badgers.
Yeah.
Then people would have like. They would remember that Snoop Dogg narrative. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah. Like, oh, it's dangerous. It's real dangerous. Because you're talking about a specific animal now, and the worst. It's ridiculous. Take that L,
he should have been more.
He
should have been more specific about what animal he was talking about.
Because you got to create an image, a mental image for people. Because you just say animal, that's way too broad.
Yeah.
Again. Taking an L, man. He wasn't, always running from behind. I mean, like, always, leading from behind, not thinking ahead.
See, deal makers have the peripheral vision to see things around them and to know.
And they can shape things the right way.
Before they take L's. And maybe even not even take L's, but he's taking L's left and right. But he said that there's going to be so much winning.
Hashtag winning.
But see, again, his brand is about projecting,
right?
Like that he's winning even when he's not. That's how he's kind of stayed relevant. You know what I'm saying? Because if he really was, you wouldn't have to brag about it. You would just do it. You would, you know what I'm saying? If you were truly winning like you are, you wouldn't have to constantly brag that you are.
That's true.
You would just do it.
That's true. That's very true. I didn't see. I don't know. I didn't see any footage of the whole event that they had at the White House.
Oh, you mean like the where he was like "God bless America,"
yeah,
and then like, the guy was actually kneeling. Did you see that? The picture of the guy kneeling. And everybody's like, "This is not fair. You can't like criticize him for not knowing the words." I'm like, but dude, you knew you were gonna be there. That was like that's like your type of event.
Yeah,
you knew that was about.
Exactly.
You could at least like know the words. That's how you it was like a tribute ceremony.
Yes.
So yes, if you have let's say I want to have a Michael Jackson tribute, and I know what song is going to be played there.
You better know what you're talking about.
I better know the words to that damn song.
Or you're gonna look like a damn fool.
I'm gonna look like a damn fool.
But I heard like there weren't any Philly fans there. It was just awful, man. It was just awful, man. And like we said before, it was all about him, man. You just want people to come kiss the ring, man. You want people to grovel at your feet. You want to feel good. Like you want to be made to feel good in everything that you do. It's never for the betterment of somebody else. It's always about you.
He is kind of like the epitome of a bigot, though. Somebody with like a very fragile ego.
He does have a very fragile ego, though. All right, so I think that's all we have in terms of official topics that we're going to talk about. So we're going to open this thing up for callers, and we do hope that you will call in so that you can tell us your view.
Let your voice be heard.
Yeah, on anything that we've discussed here tonight. The number is 669-900-6833. I'm kind of interested in some viewpoints on the whole Miss America thing too. That was like the first thing that we covered.
How people feel about that?
Yeah, how people feel. Like, do you think it's a good thing that they're taking it out and that they're actually making it a competition instead of a beauty pageant? And how do you think? I guess what the result is going to be. Is viewership going to be the same?
I know one person that might not be too happy.
The one taking on them L's. Yeah, he ain't gonna watch. He's not gonna watch anymore.
Before we do take any calls, or before any people start filling up the environment within the the call application. I want to give a shout out to Angie. I think she had to go, so she's not here currently. She said she had to run, but she did hook us up in the super chat, and we do appreciate that.
No doubt.
Might send her a personal message.
Big up,
since
Angie.
She is not here and not currently watching, but
you know what? And you know what? I think we will. Pretty soon we'll be able to update the store too. Store.spreadshirt.com/LTMB. Before we couldn't get like every single item that they offer because of I guess the problem with the imaging. You have to have a certain type of image to place on the product, but I think we'll be able to create that pretty
you're
soon.
right, Phoenix. Hillary had all the fucking connections. He had to put that fucking in there. He didn't just put Hillary had all the connections. Hillary had all the fucking connections, and yet she worked for Barack even after losing to him. Well, actually that puts both Trump and Bernie right to shame. So it's like, well, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't think you.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, probably conversation.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
All right, so let's set this up. All right.
Oh.
All right, we got a caller waiting here from the 858 area code. So let's get them on the show. Caller, you're on the air with LTMB Live. What's your name?
My name is Lori Reynolds from sunny Southern California.
Hey, what's going on, Lori? Nice to hear from you again.
What's going on, Lori?
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, we can hear you just
we can hear you.
I had to turn off my computer here because I was like getting sound from two places.
Yeah, feedback. You're getting that feedback.
Yeah, you touched on a couple things tonight. That, I don't know. I get annoyed when I see and hear things, and one thing that, like with this Kim Kardashian thing, when I heard she was even going there, I was like, oh my goodness, no, she ain't. And the thing is Kim Kardashian basically appeals to pop culture with her big butt, and which isn't even real. It's all phony. Right. And, she was made famous, ironically, by a porn video and then taking pictures of herself on Instagram. Okay, so basically that's how she got famous, and she appeals to the younger pop culture, and to also has adopted a sort of black type of cultural aspect to her brand. And so in my mind, I'm looking at her and Kanye, and everything that I don't know. I haven't pinpointed Kim yet, besides wanting money and lots of it. But Kanye, to me, is just a black Trump, a malignant narcissist. And Trump, I think everything he does is for Trump. And him having her there, I think, in my view, this is my opinion, and I could be 100% wrong. And if I am, I'll say so later on if I'm proved wrong. And you can tell me I'm full of it if you want to. But in my view, Trump just had her to the White House and commuted this Alice woman sentence to say, hey, young popular crowd, I'm cool, I'm down, I'll commute this woman, and look, all you Kim Kardashian and Kanye West fans, look at me, look how great I am, and so basically, in my view, he's trying to appeal to that segment, that demographic, and basically feed them a line of bull. Am I totally off?
You think so? What you're saying is you think Trump would be so, I guess, sinister as to pardon some woman, maybe so that people in the black community might perceive it in a very favorable way? Is that a little
not only in the black not only in the black community, but just young people in general that follow after Kim Kardashian? I mean, you know, it's no secret in our society that if you are young and beautiful and a woman and you have a nice curvy figure, that it's going to get you places. And for Trump to acquiesce to somebody, a female that is young, beautiful, and curvy, who is very, I mean, she's the most highest paid celebrity out there for a woman. For him to acquiesce to a request of hers is going to gain favor with that demographic of the population.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
And I mean, if we might have a person in there who is kind of confused about not only Lori's position, but maybe how we have talked about it in this little short moment. But I would urge that person who is kind of, I guess, articulating themselves with sarcasm about the situation about Trump pardoning this one person to go back and listen to our entire commentary, because I don't really feel like repeating it right now as we're trying to focus on particular callers and the points they're bringing up. So I would urge anyone in the chat section that maybe disagrees with Lori's position and our position on this Trump pardon issue to go back and listen to our full commentary on this show we had about this issue comprehensively. And so we did not say that her sentence being commuted is not a good thing. We were just saying that it's bigger than this one person. And I think Lori kind of summed up our position kind of with her hypothesis. And we talked about this for over 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think Lori's right. I think she clarified herself too in saying that it wasn't just about black people, it was about a certain type of person that might view this as, you know, a very favorable decision. And I think Trump, and we said that before too, Trump, I don't believe does anything that isn't to, I guess, to his benefit. It doesn't make sense that Trump would actually make this decision knowing how he has spoke about drug dealers and drug traffickers. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Even that she has been in jail for, or been in prison for 21 years. He doesn't seem like, all of his rhetoric has not suggested any leniency for anybody. He even suggested the death penalty for people just like Alice Marie Johnson. So he did this for a purpose, and it wasn't to, I guess, do the right thing for Alice Marie Johnson. It wasn't to do something impactful for the criminal justice system. It wasn't to do, like, this wasn't like one stepping stone and he's going to get to the other thousands of people that are in similar situations. No, this was very limited to this particular case.
I am all for drug policy reform. I'm all for prison reform, and if we're going to talk about prison reform, yeah, we can talk about specifically drug policy reform and how, you know, the United States has approached this drug war. Fine, we can talk about that. And we can honestly talk about Johnson's sentence. We can honestly talk about that. And we can honestly talk about why that her sentence, as well as others, should be commuted. But we have to be honest about what she was in jail for as well. She wasn't just in jail for some petty possession. So I think we have to be honest about that. But yeah, I think it's all like you said. I think it's also good that you mentioned Kanye West being a malignant narcissist, and I think we can have two opinions about Kanye at the same time without them contradicting one another. These are two separate things. Kanye is a genius as far as him being an artist, and I respect him in that way, but there's another side to him, this whole dragon energy that he talked about, where he does things for the effect of getting publicity. He does things for himself. He wants to be on the stage. He wants to be seen. He wants to have a lot of attention on him. He is a narcissist too, so you kind of have to kind of allow yourself to see motives behind everything, behind not just Trump, but people who like him, Kanye, Kim Kardashian, Rudy Giuliani, Kellyanne Conway, all of these people change their tune based on them wanting to propel themselves. So all these people are narcissists. So that's why it's important, and I think, for you to bring up that we have to kind of take these things like a grain of salt. So
Yeah. You know, and I'm not, you know, I don't, like I said, I turned off my computer, so I'm not seeing the chat, luckily. I don't know what they're saying on the chat right now, but like you and Will were saying earlier, is that are we in favor of Alice getting her sentence commuted? Absolutely, 100%. She probably shouldn't even have been there. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that, okay, so you have this famous, very popular woman come to the White House, and you showboat her getting her sentence commuted. But on the other side of your mouth, you're saying that, you know, you have an Attorney General Sessions who is saying that people who smoke marijuana are all bad people, and that, you know, you're going to go after these people that smoke marijuana and do other drugs, and give them a criminal record for doing drugs or selling drugs. That's not matching up in my book. It's not. And, you know, if say, for example, you know, there was a different president in office, and, you know, quietly he commuted drug people's sentences on you know, not publicly, but just did it quietly, I would give more credence to that person than to this showboat guy. And you're right, they're all kind of serving their own purposes to one way or the other. It's all a show.
That's what. See, that's how you know it's not real, because he does make this a big spectacle, and it's just about this one case. It's not about revamping drug policy. It's not about revamping the criminal justice system. It's not about bail reform. It's not about these non-violent criminals that are in jail or in prison without parole. It's not about anything about that. It's just about making himself look good. That's it. So we appreciate your comment.
Honestly, something that they all have in common is they know how to work the media. All of them do. Trump, Kardashian, and Kanye. They all know how to work the media and make it work for them. Kim got rich doing it. I mean, before she was just Paris Hilton's assistant. And she's worked the media and to get where she wants to go. They all know how to work it.
I agree, no doubt.
Well, but you know, Lori, like I was, you know, when I go to, you know, different places and I talk to young people. I mean, I think most young people are like my son, who is very well informed. And then I go and I talk to people out in the community that are about the same age as him, and they are not informed. So all they see is Trump commuting a Black woman's sentence for drug use, and they don't have any other information besides this. So they see this and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, Trump's cool. I'll vote for him next time," which is
that's what it counts on.
It's so
uninformed people.
It's you know, but I guess it's my bad for thinking that all young people are well informed like my son, but I finding out that they're not.
It takes energy to stay informed, and
it does.
A lot of people either don't have the time or they don't have the
that's true
interest.
They don't have the interest. I think that's it.
Both. You know, like I used to have AT&T for my carrier, and you know, with this, so I went down to T-Mobile today, and I was talking with the gal there, and she used to work for AT&T, but I told her why I was canceling my AT&T, about that $600,000 payment to Cohen, and she didn't know nothing about it. She says, "I don't know anything about that." And I was like, "Really? You used to work for AT&T, and now you work for T-Mobile, and you don't know anything about that?" She didn't. But she's a young person too.
Yeah, that's the kind of world we live in. That's a whole different topic. Yeah, that's the whole different topic, and that's the kind of world we live in right now, where it's I guess it's not really, you know, I guess we live in this world where everything is so advanced technologically that people expect convenience even when it comes to their political understanding. They think it's just going to just come to them like everything else that's convenient or that's been made convenient in our world. So again, we kind of appreciate you, Lori, bringing up these good points on this phone call. And we're going to get to the next phone call. This person has been waiting for a good little time. Sorry, area code 443. Okay. But again, we appreciate you adding to the show, just like most of our other callers, and we appreciate you calling in. And glad to hear your voice because we see you commenting in the chat and on Facebook all the time. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll get back online and look at the chat now.
Please do. All right. You have a nice night. All right.
Have a good weekend, Lori.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, let's get to 443. Caller, you are on the air with LTMB. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? It's Court.
What's going
up,
on, man?
Court?
The Courtmeister.
It's been like 2 years,
I know, man. It feels like
it's been like 2 years, Court.
It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you.
You see, fellas, in the time dilation field, if you let go for a week, it feels like 7 years under Trump. That's what it's like. That's what it's like. This is like the nightmare Ricky and Morty shit. It's really horrible. It's really horrible.
Yeah, we are in a different dimension, man.
I know, man.
Feel like I'm in that doggone
some dystopian timeline or something, man.
What's that movie with Matthew McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey.
What was that? Is that the one where he went into space? Where he had to?
Trent,
man, something intergalactic or something like that.
Yeah, Interstellar. So you was over there climbing the ladders of time. That's what you was doing. You was scaling the ladders of time.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, Mike. It doesn't look good, man. It doesn't look good.
That's not good news, man. You came back to tell us more bad news.
You can't be going and scaling, you know what I'm saying, ladders of time and, you know, come out with information like this. We're going to need you to go back and go ahead, open some other dimensional, some other dimensional doors and come back with some good info. You know what I'm
saying? Nah, fellas. Nah. I wanted to talk with you about your question about the Miss America pageant, and I also wanted to talk about the Kim Kardashian thing with with Trump and him commuting a sentence. Now that lady did not belong in prison, and you're right. That whole situation is just a complete utter failure of a system that's been around for a century, a century and almost a half, you know. Mm-hmm. It started way back right after the Civil War. It's been continuing on up to this day. So we all know that this sucks. And when Kanye West gets up and he starts, you know, praising Trump, who is aggressive against black people, it rubs you the wrong way. And then when Kim Kardashian stands up for somebody who has been, you know, who's been destroyed by this system of white supremacy for some stupid shit, you can't help but applaud that person goes free. But you know in the back of your head that they only did this because Trump is stomping around and he's showing people his power to pardon. First he pardons Dinesh D'Souza, and then he pardons first he pardoned Joe Arpaio. You remember when he pardoned Joe Arpaio? He's always floated that concept out there that he can pardon himself. And that's what this is about. He's going to throw these pardons around, and he's going to be like, those of you who treat me well, who stick up for me, then I'm going to make sure that whatever you have to do to cover for me, you get pardoned for. And because I'm going to be able to pardon myself for whatever I do. That's some dangerous shit. And the media throws this nugget out there to everybody because they know they're going to lap it up. They know you have to like it. They know that you have to like it, but they barely cover anything about Dinesh, barely anything about him, because they don't want you to focus on the fact that he's going to use this to pardon extreme right wing activists, maybe even extreme right wing criminals. Mm-hmm. 'Cause, you know what I mean? Like, it could go that far.
That's apt. Criminal, right?
Right? Like, how, like,
Yeah.
like,
Criminal, right?
I mean, how far could it go? And as for the Miss America pageant, I think it's a wonderful thing that they want to show. They want to showcase the talent of women and not the bodies of women. I hope it works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope it works. I've never really watched it, right? So I'm looking at this from the abstract. Do I think that the Miss America pageant objectifies women? Well, almost every point of American society objectifies women, from the entertainment to all the way. I mean, it's all of it is about the objectification of women. So it's kind of an unfair question. I think if you see the show keep its ratings, and it's a good sign. But if people don't really watch it and it kind of like fades off into obscurity or something, then lose all hope, all ye who enter here.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
It's kind of like a bellwether. It's like a bellwether, you know? That's what I think it is. It's a bellwether.
I'm hopeful that the Miss America pageant flourishes, you know, especially in this new avenue that they're taking on, you know, removing themselves of that, you know, that objectifying women part of it, you know. I have nieces, I have a daughter, you know, and I could never envision being like I guess supportive of that idea, them, you know, parading themselves around there like that. It's just not, like I said, if you say you're about something and it's not about a beauty pageant, it's actually something like really tangible, something like that's really positive, but you're doing this, it just doesn't make sense. So if they are gonna make it about a competition, and you know they're gonna, I guess, invite more women in, it's not gonna be about the body, you know, it's not gonna be about beauty, it's gonna really be about merit, you know, and I'm all for that, man. I'm all for that.
Oh, I mean, I am too. I think, you know, if we're gonna talk about, you know, women being objectified, that's one thing, but I think like something that a lot of people don't talk about is that appealing to people's sexual nature, or trying to appeal to people's sexual nature, whether you're a female or male, is kind of the easy way out. Mm-hmm. And I think we all use that, whether both, you know, men and women use that as the easy way out.
That's such a big part of entertainment.
It's such a big part of entertainment. Again, both men and women like kind of cater to that. Mm-hmm. You know, so men tend to appeal to women's superficial nature, and women tend to appeal to men's superficial nature. And I do think that, you know, having the, you know, that portion of the pageant, the swimsuit, and the evening wear, I think that kind of appealed to that. And I do think that there are some women that entered the pageant that kind of started to frame their identity around that too.
Yeah, like that was the beauty part of it, was really the emphasis of it. And we saw that in some of their answers, like when they were asked questions. They weren't prepared for that.
You know, I don't, and the thing is, I think that we kind of, at the same time, we, I guess as men, objectify women, there's kind of like this reciprocation that women respond with, because they know that's something that can appeal to men and get attention from men easier. Mm-hmm. So they then kind of reinforce that by trying to appeal to that thing that we want from them, and they frame their identity around that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it does kind of have an effect on how they view themselves too. And so it's not just about how we as men have controlled this kind of narrative about how women should be, I guess, presented to us. It is actually bigger than that. It's kind of, it also helps, I guess progress this idea of how women see themselves as well. You know,
and let's not kid ourselves too, man. There's still going to be beautiful women in this competition, and they're still going to have beautiful dresses on or beautiful gowns on. Just, I mean, that's still going to be an aspect of it. It may not be the factor in them winning the competition, as it shouldn't be, but it's still going to be, like, people are still going to be tuning in to see young, beautiful
It's not
women.
like they're going to be walking around wearing potato sacks.
Exactly.
It's not what.
Exactly.
You know.
So, Court, I mean, so you say you've never been one to really watch the Miss America pageant, but now that it's not a pageant, do you think now it will at least grab your attention initially?
Absolutely not.
Well, that's honest.
I know, absolutely not.
That's honest. It's gonna grab my attention. It's gonna grab my attention.
I'll tell you why.
I'm interested in what changes they make and how it looks.
I'll tell you why. See, Mike, you were spot on with your analysis of the word objectification. However, you were also spot on with the reciprocal nature of the female attraction to males, right? So what you said was the show depended on this whole undercurrent of sexual attraction that, kind of made the show what it is. And if you take this out of the show, then it probably will not survive. So, I mean, the reality of it is you might be right. I mean, you just might be right, but I kind of hope not. I kind of hope not. But see, we haven't geared ourselves up to do something like that. It's not going to be like some drastic change. It's going to be weak because you know how corporate media operates. Corporate media corporate media gives you glitz and glamour. They give you glittering generalities to throw out a high school civics term. That's what they give you. They give you glittering generalities that you latch onto, but they mean absolutely nothing. It's just like when they parole some woman they put in jail for life that they should have never done in the first place for some star because they have a maniac president who used to be a reality star, and he's using that to push his power around and make sure everybody knows he can pardon himself whenever he wants to do whatever he wants to do.
See, I guess that's the reason why I'm initially interested in it, because I want to see if they're actually able to be successful in like what success actually looks like. Are they going to really completely remove themselves of that feature? Is it actually going to be about promoting like the best women, like the most talented? Is it going to be a real like I don't, like I said, I don't care about the beauty aspect because there's beautiful women everywhere, but how are they going to actually promote it to viewers? I'm interested in that. I'm interested in that. I don't know if I have my I don't know if I have my expectations high, but I'm interested in how it all goes down.
Yeah, it's like I'm more interested now.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll have everybody dolled up as best they can, and they will have lots of viewers on the first night just out of curiosity, and they won't disappoint. Yeah. They won't disappoint. That's pretty much how our corporate media works. Like they'll give you this idea that they're gonna fix it, but they're not really. Hollywood has the undercurrent of like it's horrible for women, right? Like there's all kinds of stuff that goes on in Hollywood with women, and they get assaulted and propositioned and harassed and all kinds of this crazy stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But we're all supposed to believe that the Miss America pageant is going to give up the swimsuit edition and is going to stop the objectification of women. I don't know, man. I don't feel it.
Yeah, it's like they're taking like a drop of water out of the ocean.
Yeah. I was gonna use like a similar analogy too. Yeah. It's like, how much of a dent is it gonna make in actual, like, I guess, society? Like how we actually treat women in society. Yeah, it's a factor. Like I said, low expectations, but I'm interested.
Low expectations but high interest.
Yeah, because like I said, just like Court, just like you, into my, like I said, as a young kid, yes, women in bikinis, women in swimsuits, count me in. Straight up.
When I was a little kid, I just need to see women in panties.
Exactly.
Right?
So, come on now. A magazine with brassieres.
Yes.
Come on, man. As a little kid.
There's no red-blooded American male that didn't find his dad's stash of Playboys and figure out exactly what was going on. Right? I'm telling you, this is what But see, Miss America and like Miss Universe and all that, like all that stuff, like that's like the higher class. You know what I mean? That's like, so even their swimsuit competition really wasn't that bad, right? Like it really wasn't. It's like people look at it. People look at it and like some people will just scream about, oh my God, you're objectifying women through these competitions and this and that and the other thing. And then they like harp on it. So then the competition, now they decide, okay, we're going to take down the swimsuit competition. And we're going to put more intellectual talents in its place.
Right.
Hope it works. But I think sometimes people need to just let go of their guilt that they like looking at the human form. But you know that'll never happen. We can't have that. You can't have that though. That you know that won't happen. So they have to play the game and they have to take down the swimsuit competition, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
It like you said, you know, it's largely due to, you know, like the Me Too movement, and within Miss America too, they had some problems with some like sexual harassment and inappropriate behavior and stuff like that as well. So then they got the new chairwoman, Gretchen Carlson, who sued her former employer, Fox News, for, you know, sexual harassment and all that. So you know, there were steps leading up to this, and you know, like I said, whether it's going to turn out to be a good thing or not, I mean, I hope it is. I hope it is a good thing. I encourage, I guess, the pursuit of, you know, having, how can I say this? I guess I encourage the pursuit of stop the abuse of women, really. Like, stop the sexual harassment of women, and the objectifying of women is never gonna be taken out of our society or out of this world. It's just never gonna happen, because, like you said too, I mean, it's the reverse of that is objectifying men as well, right? So it's never gonna be taken out of this. But the way that women are treated, something can be done about that. This isn't gonna be like the straw that breaks the camel's back. This isn't gonna be the end all be all. Hopefully, it's a step on that process, though.
I hope so too. I hope so too. I mean, there have been some bright shining moments over these dark days that make you think that, you know, people do get it. I mean, and there are a lot more people out there that get it that don't get it. I mean, there's a lot of damn people that don't get it. Don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of people that get it. I know they're coming from a good place. I mean, Gretchen Carlson, I don't necessarily know if I really. Because, I mean, Gretchen Carlson was really very right wing. I mean, she said a lot of hurtful stuff about a lot of minorities. I mean, I don't know if I can really, you know, but I get where she's coming from, right? And I get why they're trying to do it. But the corporate media isn't going to make it happen. And I just don't think that any gift from them should be. I know you shouldn't let the gift horse in the mouth, but we know that these are Trojans here. We already know that.
Right, yeah, you got to be very cautious.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Court. We appreciate you calling in, man. Finally, you know, your long trip back to our time.
I know, right? To our dimension.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
hope you don't stay away as long as you did before, because obviously you didn't come back with good news. So, you know, it's gonna take you a longer time to find that.
So as we
news.
send you away tonight, we send you away with homework. And you know what I'm saying, like when you're in the midst of your interdimensional travel, where we are hoping, or we were requiring you to bring back some good information.
On the horizon.
On the horizon, something
that you can see, you know.
Well, we'll give it the old college try.
That's the perfect comeback.
Wow.
All right, man. Court, man. You have a good weekend, man.
All right, y'all take it easy.
All right, man.
All right, we got a caller from the 770. Caller, you're on the air with LTMB.
Hello? Yeah, this is Tony.
What's going on, Tony?
All right. Calling out of Atlanta.
ATL, man. What you got for us?
Okay, I missed like almost over half the show, so I'm pretty sure, like when I came in, y'all were talking about the pardon.
Mm-hmm.
And you were mentioning how everybody was connected to celebrity, which, you know, something I pointed out, and, you know, of course, everybody, you know, some people, they feel one way about it, some people feel another. Also having some people talking about Obama never knew about that lady's situation, even though when I look on the Department of Justice website, and they listed the rejections, the pardons that were rejected by prior presidents, Obama rejected her.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw that too. It went across his desk, you know.
Because she was expecting to be released, and she was surprised when Obama didn't grant her the clemency. So, yeah.
That's right, because she wrote an article on CNN about Obama rejected me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
see, I'm
just amazed by how some black, it's not a lot this time. Like if it happened, like Obama was still president, they'd be like, "No, man, that never happened." But I'm still seeing some people acting like, you know, like, "No, man, Obama would never do that." And it's like, come on, dude. I mean, I'm not saying Obama was mean or nothing, but he wasn't perfect either.
Yeah, not only was far from perfect, not only was he not perfect, like I guess what he is most notable for is like not standing up for kind of a comprehensive change within the criminal justice system. Yeah, there was a few times where remember that time he said I could have been Trayvon Martin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, rhetorically
he was good.
Yeah.
But when when the rubber meets the road, he was nowhere to be found. Like we did a video on Obama, and we kind of called him out for how he talked about Black Lives Matter.
Oh yes.
He thought they were, and he wasn't even in this country. He was like in Britain, wasn't he?
He was in Britain, yeah.
And he was talking about how Black Lives Matter was like, he just didn't like the way they went about it. They were too loud.
Too aggressive.
We already knew who we were
I think I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, the fact that, you know, he had an opportunity to commute Johnson's sentence and it went over his desk, to me, that's not even surprising. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's not surprising based on what we know about him and what we kind of have witnessed and observed about him.
And see, it's not just, you know, of course, it's not just about Johnson. And there were people that, you know, didn't have celebrity backing that he did commute their sentences, that he did pardon. And again, we're as thankful that they got out than we are that Alice Marie Johnson got out too. But there's no limit to what President Obama could have done. Like we said, there are literally thousands of people in jail right now in similar circumstances as Alice Marie Johnson, but they don't have celebrity backing. So they're rotting in jail, and there's no sign that they're ever going to get out. Obama could have done something about that, and Trump could do something about that right now, but of course, we're not expecting that.
Trump, that's a wash right there. That ain't going to happen. But
Exactly.
But yeah, the way that pardon works is it carries over from English law. Like, you know, as long as it's not of something that's impeachment worthy, you can pardon anybody, and it lives
like
on
a crime
ever
against
since
the
then.
United States. Yeah.
Right. So, and it lives on to this day. Like they started in England in like the 15 or 1600s, and it carried on over into our system. And it's like Obama could have unleashed the hounds, you know, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody.
Let everybody loose. But he didn't do that. He made it. He was real careful. So they had to be like super nonviolent, super good behavior. He wanted to make sure that they were not going to mess up. You know, based on their record, that they're not, once they get out, they're not going to mess up and tarnish his legacy. And everybody was raising their eyebrows when he was doing that. I remember everybody commentating about that. Like, why didn't you just let them all out? Like, why are you pussyfooting around with it?
Yeah, that's that hyper, super duper respectability angle. You know what I'm saying?
You got to check like 81 boxes or something like that. Oh, do you check all these boxes? Okay, now we can let you out. Man, please, there are thousands of people that are in jail for nonviolent crimes, and they have impeccable records while they're in jail, while they're in prison. They're not out.
Yeah, she was one of them, but she didn't meet that. She didn't meet that threshold that he was looking for. That's why she got rejected.
Like, I wonder, what could possibly be the threshold that she didn't meet? You know, like, come on, man.
She probably said something mean to a guard one day in jail, so he was like, "No, we can't." You know what I'm saying? I'm deserving. You know, I mean, it's funny, but it's like I'm serious. They be looking at stuff like that, and when you start doing stuff, when you talk about federal You start talking about them keeping tabs and stuff on you. They be looking at all kinds of stuff. Have a dossier on you. Every little thing you did wrong. You know.
It's awful, man. I mean, it's awful, man.
Did you already talk about Kaepernick?
Yeah, we talked about Kaepernick. Yeah.
About the
okay. So you already covered that the lawyers are coming after Trump and Pence.
Try to subpoena him, and I like that because
I love it.
And I kind of explained why his situation is way different than Roseanne's, and I don't like people comparing those two because Roseanne got fired for not having social etiquette by a corporation without the government intruding, to whereas Kaepernick, the prime representative for our government, Trump, has kind of included himself within not just Kaepernick's but other NFL players and how they express themselves. He got personally involved, so that is that's the United States getting involved in someone expressing themselves
at the executive
level. So it's definitely not the same. No. So that's why I think it's a good move. And it kind of does send a message like, hey, like, and
let him hang himself, right?
Let him hang himself. And Will, you read off the code that pretty much illustrates what Trump is doing is illegal because he's doing it for political purposes.
Right. And he's he's injecting himself in a private matter, a private business matter. He's influencing private business practices. That's totally illegal, man. But he thinks he can get away with it. He thinks like he's above the law. It's crazy.
So y'all already talked about that that particular U.S. code?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, that was it, man. That's all I had.
Well, that's good, man.
All right. Well, we appreciate you calling in, Tony, man. We hope that you call in the future.
Always.
All right, man. Y'all have a good night. Good weekend.
You too, man.
You
appreciate
too.
It.
All right.
All right. We're gonna.
Had some good calls, man. Had some very good calls. We also had another contribution to the show. Gear Randon, very, very familiar name. Gear is always supporting us, and we always are thankful of that, Gear, man. We're thankful of you. And who's our other?
It was
Angie. That's right, Angie. Yeah, man. Very thankful for all of our supporters, everybody that's active in the chat too, man. We love how you keep it moving. Mm-hmm. You talk about what we talk about. Maybe you talk about some other things as well.
I be paying attention to like the people who like talk to one another and go back and forth. The most interesting conversations are between Marsha and Moose Gal.
Yeah, I know
and
that.
Moose Gal is the younger one.
They fill it up,
and Marsha is older than she is. Like it does like this. Like I don't know. It's like
is it how you get that?
I think. Am I wrong?
I don't even.
Well, I don't know. So you can. I might. So
you're trying to give most of the out there ages and stuff, man.
Right. It's all respectful, but it's like it's funny when they disagree.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny when I see. them disagree.
I don't be seeing that.
But I did notice some other comment that struck me. By Corey Stacy said that Obama did nothing for his own people. That all depends on who Obama thinks his people are. Yeah. I know what you mean. We know what you mean. But
yeah,
like who does Obama think his people are? I think most you probably know, and most of our viewers probably know. And we, you know what I'm saying, we know who Obama's people are.
See, that's just like law enforcement.
Yeah,
who are their people?
Their people?
You know what I'm saying? They stick up for their people.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're black. Doesn't matter if they're white. Doesn't matter if they're Hispanic. Doesn't matter if they're Asian. They stick up for their own.
The Obama's people are corporate people.
Yes, corporate backers.
Corporate backers. That's who his people are. So technically, he did a lot for his people.
Man, these mothers are running around with much lint on them, man, because they in so many pockets. They got lint all over them, man. Straight up, man. I can see it, man. I can see it. We had one other story, but we can wait on that one because it's not really
pertinent.
Yeah, it's not pertinent.
Not pertinent.
But yeah, man, I think we had a good show. I think we had a good show.
Good callers, man. Again, as always, man. I just don't remember a show where we had callers where there was bad callers.
Nah. So we had Lori, we had Court, we had Tony.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate you all calling in. We love to hear your take on all these issues, man. You give us things to, you know, kind of consider and kind of try to ponder in different ways. So we love that. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I think it must be late because I feel like
Mr. Dead. I'm sorry, I was laughing at Mr. Dead's
I'm
comments.
laughing at myself, man.
Obama was half black, half white, but 100% corporate. That is like that should be considered like a ethnic group.
Yo, corporations are people, right?
Corporations are people. That's what your boy Mitt said.
So if we establish that corporations are people, they must be a different race of people.
Must be a different race. They are. There's a different the ethnicity, man.
They think a certain type of way, right? They think differently than we do.
They have a culture.
They need a box.
They need a box. They need a checkoff box.
They need a box, man. White, non-Hispanic, black, corporate. Maybe then people would get it. Maybe then people would get it.
You think that's going to get put on the census?
I'm just saying, maybe then.
Oh, then people would get it.
Be like, damn, corporate, what the? Maybe then that will wake up some people. Man.
Maybe.
But has no chance of happening.
Yeah, no,
so,
definitely not.
All right. Anything else we want to say before we get out of here, man? Any other questions? How was the stream? Everything worked all right? Did we sound all right? Was the video good? I know at the beginning we didn't have a great stream status.
Yeah, it was like in the middle.
Yeah. So was anything choppy or anything like that? You say I always pick one, man. I don't even know which one I pick, man.
You always pick the violin one, but
all right, let me pick that one. Right. I don't think nobody's paying attention to us. They're all conversing with each other. You know what I'm saying?
We
the stars, man. We the stars. We Trump. We narcissists. Awesome, guys. Video, audio good. That's great.
Yeah, somebody said 3 hours passed by fast. It did.
Man, it always does,
It always does, man, because we usually kind of used to just go 2 hours.
Oh,
now we go 3 because we don't do it late night after dark.
Hold up. See, somebody just offended me.
Oh. No, somebody know how to get at you, dude.
See,
somebody know how to get at you.
See, you know who you are, right?
Yeah.
You know who you are, you just offended me because you brought up the Brooklyn Nets, right? See, that's sensitive. Right
but see, I think it's kind of funny that you trying to like throw shade at the Nets, and there's you
ain't a fan.
Your username is L Train. You're taking the L now.
Exactly. See, as long if you ain't a fan. So you need to keep the Nets out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's what I got to say. See, the Nets have their own draft picks.
We're gonna have some sports trash talk now.
I'm saying, look, starting in 2019, the Nets are in control of their own draft picks. Finally, after that horrible, just pathetic trade they made years ago. So the future is on the rise. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully they stink next year. Hopefully they stink so that they get some good draft position, and they'll get the best prospect out there, and that will, start the what does Philly say? Trust the process.
Trust the process.
We're gonna have to
he's a Celtics fan. He'll say you made it. Y'all made it far with your 2 stars out.
So you know why he trolling, because they got our picks, man.
Yeah.
See, if I was in control of the Nets, there ain't no way I would have made that kind of trade, man. Nobody with sense would have made that kind of trade.
Again, that's
old Kevin Garnett and old Paul Pierce.
That's kind of weird. How again, we're not getting paid to make these multi-million-dollar decisions or decisions that impact the team in a multi-million-dollar way. And we're using common sense to show how dumb these moves are. Again, we ain't getting paid for this.
And for that just complete and just the inept so now the Boston Celtics are relishing the fact that they got Jaylen Brown, they got Jason Tatum. These are 2 stars in the making, man. These are 2 stars in the making that the Nets could have had.
The only thing that could bite them in the butt is if these players' value gets so high that they can't keep them all.
And that's really likely.
Yeah, that's essentially how sports works. Actually, most sports do work like that, especially basketball and football.
Because think about the lineup next year. If they're all healthy, you got Kyrie Irving at the point, you got Jaylen Brown at the 2, you got Gordon Hayward at the 3, you got Jason Tatum at the 4. And at the 5, maybe. Well, Horford is still playing really lights out. So he played very well this year in the playoffs. Against Tristan Thompson, he didn't perform that well, but he's still a very good center. That's a damn good lineup. That's a damn good lineup.
I think that would make them instant favorites to win the East.
Especially if LeBron leaves.
Even if LeBron
if LeBron doesn't, yeah.
I think with the squad, I don't even like calling this squad that the Cavs have now. They still are favorites.
That's true.
But yeah,
because they pushed them to 7 games without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, man. So, and then you're just talking about a year of seasoning for Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum has the potential to be a star, man, in this league. I don't know about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown doesn't have as much talent. He's good. He can be a number 2. He could definitely be a number 2.
Whatever, June. Bye. I'm just fucking with June. She's like, sports talk.
Sports is life, man.
I know.
Sports is life, man.
And we give political talk 99.99%.
Exactly, man. You can't just allow us a few minutes to jabber about some sports. You know what I'm saying, man? We sometimes we have some stories that aren't really pertaining to politics too.
Yeah,
we try to have fun
life
with
stories, like looking at panties when we're 6 years old, looking through magazines and find panty shots and bra shots when we're 6 years old. That's life stuff that's relevant, just like sports.
I can remember just like yesterday, man, trying to watch through the fuzzy lines Cinemax, man. When I was like 11, 12 years old, and I knew my mother was trying to catch me. I'd be in the dark, and I had the remote in my hand like this, right? I have it on like last channel or something like that. I'd be like, if I see that door move, I'd be like,
yo, open book right here, dog. Open book right here.
All right.
You remember Jet Magazine?
Come on, yeah.
Remember Jet Magazine? My parents, had a subscription to Jet, and they would get one every month.
Yeah, we did too, yeah.
Now in Jet, on page 42.
Oh, yes.
It was the beauty of the month.
Yes.
Dog, I found like a big stack of Jets. Like, I used to just try to see them when they came out, but when I was like 10 or something, I found like a big stack stored away I ain't never seen before.
Right.
Dog, your boy went through them and turned to page 42. Like,
I never cared about the content, man. 42, bam. Okay, all right. Okay, let me go to the next one. Yep. I did that. Yeah. That's young boy stuff, man. That's real young boy
panties.
stuff.
I say panties. It wasn't really explicit. It was just regular,
Yeah.
Usually it was a bikini or something. You know what I'm saying? It didn't really take much.
I don't even know if I even said this before too. But there was one time I ran into trouble, and I don't even know if I told my mom. Of course I didn't tell my mom that. But yeah, there was one time I was looking, because at nighttime you could see between the lines really good. The reception would come would come in a lot clearer. You can't do that now with cable boxes.
Nope.
But I remember I was like, okay, I can see, and I saw a booty, right? And I was like, oh, okay, I see a booty. Okay, I got excited, and it was a male booty. It was a dude's booty, right? So then, that messed me up, right? And then I remember it was like that night I would have dreams, and then I saw there was a male booty in my. There was a naked man in my dreams, right? So after that, this was like 7th grade. I think it was like for about almost 2 weeks I thought I was gay. Because I had dreams about naked men in my head, man.
See, that's what you get for trying to go behind your mom's back.
So I was like, man,
and watch some
I don't know,
like,
am I gay? I don't know. I keep having visions of male booties.
That's what you get for trying to go behind your back and like watch fuzzy porn, dog. Or like softcore.
Yeah. Hey, that's young boy stuff, man. That's young boy, man. See, y'all got confession time. See, that wasn't even on the schedule. That was not on the schedule. See, only a few of you out here for this.
Yeah,
we might have to cut that out.
Yeah, no, we have to just corrupt that part of the stream. Like, hey, we don't know what happened in the last 5 minutes, man.
Yeah, man. All right, man. We're gonna be out. Yeah, so we're gonna be back Tuesday after the weekend. It'll be Tuesday the 12th, and you know what that is?
Voting day.
Well, that as well as the summit.
Oh, that's right, the summit.
The summit with North Korea is on Tuesday the 12th.
We're gonna have. We may have. Depending on what time it is, we might have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. So I'm interested. I'm very interested in what that will bring. Sean Hannity is going to be there. He was invited to attend. I think Mike Wallace is going to be there as well. Some other, Fox News personalities or, host or whatever like that. They're also going to be there. But I'm interested in what, that whole summit thing is going to bring. So hopefully by that night, we'll have some information, to talk about. So. But yeah, appreciate everybody that joined us for this edition of LTMB Live. We hope that you can make it back next week, Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, if anybody is watching and tuning in and maybe tuning in later, please hit the subscribe button so that you can be a part of the community, and as well hit that bell as well, because so that you can get all of the newest content from LTMB. And we should be uploading some clips from the past couple shows, hopefully tomorrow, maybe on Saturday. But yeah, that's what we got, man. So everybody, thanks for the love and support, and we're out, man. We'll see you next week.